right, you guys.
Fuck.
Halloween's right around the corner. You guys, obviously, everyone listening, it's not around the corner. It's behind you.
At all. This is a dated podcast.
We hope you had a good Halloween.
Yeah, I hope it was
I hope
fun.
you had a happy Halloween. I hope you had a hoobie Halloween.
I hope you had a hoobie doobie Halloween.
I hope you didn't get COVID for Halloween.
I hope that we had a hoobie doobie Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't even know how our Halloween was, but hopefully
was
by the time
amazing.
I'm editing this.
Boys in the editing room, I hope you had a hoobie doobie Halloween.
Amen. God bless you. We love you.
Yeah, God bless.
Future Jesse.
And future Frank.
Well, Halloween's just around the corner, and
Yes.
Frank, Jesse, and myself all have our costumes picked out. I being Brandon.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Frank.
All have our costumes picked out, and they're good. They're good in their own regard. But like now that I'm thinking about it, it's pretty fucked up that we don't have like a 3-person like matching costume.
Specifically.
Like specifically for some sassy.
Well, trio costumes are hard, but then I just realized, I was like, but
Just
wait,
get a suit.
it's Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Get a suit.
It's right there. It's a low-hanging fruit.
Goodfellas is right in our face. Or the movie we're talking about today, Silence. We could each be one of the priests.
I'd be Kichijiro. Kichijiro?
Oh, fun.
How do you say his name?
Kichijiro would be fun.
Kichijiro.
Oh,
Kichijiro.
fuck. This isn't good.
Not at all.
Kichijiro.
I would be Kichijiro.
Oh, fuck. We're high.
You'd have to do a lot of running.
Listen, I would love to.
Listen, this is the Chronic Canon.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, listen up.
We smoke movies and we talk weed on this podcast.
We are live in our ears, but not in yours.
And if you don't like heat, I'm sorry, you gotta go.
Can't be here.
It's okay if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's
when we
allowed.
say you gotta go, I know you're not physically in the space with us, but that means turn us the fuck off. Stop listening now.
Like,
Get
if
outta
you
here.
actively dislike heat, we don't want you here. And truthfully, you're helping yourself.
Probably, because we talk about heat a lot on this podcast. And usually when I say that, we devolve into the heat talk. But you know, we're gonna hold back on the heat
Why
talk.
not?
It'll come
Honestly,
I'm looking at the poster. I think about it every day.
same.
You guys.
if everybody, anybody that doesn't like heat that's here, you're lucky because we gave you like 45 seconds of funny before we told you to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at least be grateful for that. Now,
Yeah.
exit the premises. Heat talk?
Heat talk. Time for heat. The heat check.
Okay.
The point of a heat check is that do you guys cry when you just think about the final moments? Because sometimes I'll be sitting here and tears will just come to my eyes because I'm thinking about that last image.
So the setting has to be actually really specific. I'll say that much. Where I'm in bed, laying down, looking up at the ceiling with the fan on, and then I just think about them holding hands.
Man, you have
And you
done this
cry?
before.
For sure, it's happened.
It happens to me quite often, to be completely honest.
I think about that shot all the time.
But does it make you cry?
No.
It should.
Very few things do.
All right, let us know if it makes you cry, fellow listener, and it should. Just so you know, that's the correct answer.
How can you let us know?
The-
You ask.
the
Well,
cro-
you
Is
can-
it the Chronic Cannon at
Yes, it
gmail.com?
is.
Thank
Yes.
God. And at Chronic Cannon on Twitter.
That is
That's
also
how.
correct.
That's how. Let us
That's
know.
how we.
That's how we bling.
And I was really hoping that would be the 420 mark, but we're not there yet. Speaking of 420, though, we are a movie.
Yes.
There he
We were pretty
is.
close.
We
We
were
were close.
so fucking close. One day we're just gonna have it figured out. We're gonna be
Spark
able
up.
to do that like clockwork.
If you got, not us. Jesus, we're high enough.
no,
Jesse.
nope, shouldn't have said it.
I was talking to the listener.
First of all, this is a movie podcast. We have to clarify. We mostly smoke movies on this podcast.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't do a lot of talking of weed.
But we're high as fuck.
But we're high as hell. We're always high when we watch the movies we talk about.
Yes.
And it's always about the experience of being high while experiencing the movie.
If you so be, stay OV. That's
That's
cool.
cool.
Hang out.
That is very cool.
You should have a drink.
Please hang
though.
out. Definitely
And-
have a drink.
and
or
if you
something.
don't
And
do
if you're
that-
under 21, don't do that.
No,
do some
what?
push-ups or something? Exercise. People who are sober get high off shit like that.
Okay.
So like, run around the room and listen to us. Okay.
That's
Get the heart pumping.
That's a fun thing to imagine right now.
Or maybe take a bath, but I don't think we're that soothing.
No, we're way too chaotic. The energy in this room before
I feel
we
like
started,
the phone would somehow fall into the tub or the speaker or whatever it is.
like from one loud shout
Yep.
from the three of us.
Somebody going, great ass. And
What's
falls in.
everybody's favorite heat quote of the week?
I'm surprised we haven't done that already.
I mean, we basically do.
When we list off more than one.
I know. What's
It's
your
not
quote?
a quote of the
what's
week?
your quote this week? What's the
Oh,
one that
boy.
you've been vibing with? Because I feel like mine changes week to week. Mine is for sure the "Don't waste my motherfucking time."
It's a great one.
It's the best.
It's a real good one.
Come on, hit me. Don't
Like-
overthink it. What's your heat quote of the week?
Why do you care what I read, lady? Why do you care so much about what I read or what I do?
That one's objectively the best.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Brandon and I were just talking about today how we need to start using the term lady more often. Not in a condescending way, just like bring it back as like a fun, endearing term.
well, I mean, okay.
For all people. Hey, lady.
I called the
Hey,
lady.
lady!
I called the lady at the local pizza grocery store lady today.
Did you
How'd she
really?
react?
It's fine. It was just because it was casual.
She
it wasn't.
punched me.
I mean, like everyone smacks you when you greet them, right?
Gabagool.
Hey, lady.
Hey,
Ouch.
what's your
How's
heat
it going?
quote of the week? You never said. Come on, chop chop. Any.
Die walking your little doggy.
That's not the fucking quote.
Gonna get killed walking your doggy.
Yeah, that's it. That's not as good. Gonna die walking your doggy.
Way better.
Way better.
We
Once
should have
we
called
write it.
Michael.
Mikey.
We tried getting a hold of you. We tried talking to
I
you.
ain't
about
got,
it.
ain't got no.
Somebody was a little too busy for us.
Yeah, you can't email me back. You're gonna look like a real jag in 20 years.
What are you making? Tokyo Drift? Some bullshit.
Dear man, I wrote you, but
Tokyo
you still ain't
Vice.
calling.
So right now,
We're gonna stand you.
surprise, we aren't doing a Michael Mann podcast.
I wish.
We will one day for sure. That's a guarantee. One day. But right now we're doing a Martin Scorsese podcast.
That's right. We are doing the Sessy Sessions.
Yes.
It took everything in my power not to throw some Tom Hooper in there just now.
In what sense?
Yeah,
Cropping
what?
me in the bottom left corner of a frame? What are you
No,
talking about?
He said one day.
More.
One day more. So wait, now you're attributing Les Mis exclusively to Tom Hooper? He's done that well with it that the text is no longer like accredited to the original people.
I love
don't
that
think-
as a concept.
Give it to Tom Hooper. Just give it all to
I
him.
don't think one day more is in the book.
Yes,
not
it
gonna-
is.
The
What?
song? I don't think the songs are in the book, bro.
Brandon.
One day more is a
It's
classic Les
the
Mis
closing
track.
of Act 1.
No, I mean like in the book. Like
Oh.
that thick ass, large ass
okay,
book.
but it was still a musical before Tom Hooper.
That's what I'm saying.
All
What?
right. Now,
Did you not realize that Les Mis was a musical before the movie?
I thought it was just a movie.
No, you didn't.
I
and
know.
you knew that.
Yes.
This is a bad bit.
It's not a bit. You guys just literally caught me slipping because I did equate it with Tom Hooper. Like I just did. Because I couldn't tell you who directed the one.
If you're going to equate it with anyone, it should be Russell Crowe, and you know it. So let's move on. Where
Let's
were
move
we?
on.
And
Where
I'm
were we?
Javert. Told you I was going to throw some
And
Tom
I'm
Hooper in here. No.
I am warning you, Javert. That's the best part of the movie. When you Jackman,
Before
anytime
you
he
say another word.
listen to me. Wait, you're singing,
No, I'm doing the Hugh Jackman part.
but singing it
Sing.
like Russell
Yeah.
Russell
Russell
Crowe.
Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
I'm Russell Bryan, and I'm here to introduce to you Les Mis.
Can you imagine? Hold on, just somebody.
Imagine Russell Brand playing Javert.
And I'm Javert. Do not forget me, mate. I don't know.
That was pretty good.
I was gonna say, imagine someone who's like, finally, a podcast about my favorite movie, Silence.
The Vatican listens in.
They click on this.
The Pope's like, finally, someone did it. Someone did it.
Finally.
Well, hello, Mr.
A holy
what's the
podcast
Pope's,
for all
what's the new Pope's name? Josh?
Francis.
Josh.
Pope Joshua?
Pope. It's Francis.
Joshua's a
right?
biblical name. No, Francis was the last one.
Mm-mm.
Pope Francis is an old one.
Dylan.
No, you guys.
Pope John
Connor.
Paul is the old one.
And there was Benedict. It's
Cumber.
Pope Francis. Who are you asking?
Right now?
Who are you asking?
Hey, you're right.
It's Pope
you're right.
Francis right
you're right.
now.
You're right.
I'm pretty sure it's Benedict before and goddamn John Paul
But
Jones.
do me a favor, quick googs. How many fucking Pope Francises have there been?
A lot, for sure. For sure.
Like there has to
how do
have
I
been.
look? How do I Google? I hate this.
Why are we doing this?
Popes.
Because this is all
I mean, it is related.
This is the podcast all about God.
Well, this if God is Martin Scorsese, then yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
I mean, he's the god of the chronic canon.
is.
That's canon.
He's the Godfather.
How the fuck Just give me the list of popes. Why is it so hard to find?
Uh-oh. The
List of
Vatican's
popes.
The
gonna find
Catholic
you.
Church is elusive, and you know this.
Yeah, they love to diddle too much to be out in the open.
Oh, God, we can't put our list of popes up there. They're diddle masters.
Jesus, there's been so many fucking popes.
Anyway, silence.
Yes, it was Francis, before him, goddamn Benedict, and before him, goddamn John Paul II. Before him, goddamn John Paul I.
easy.
God
Easy.
damn it.
Hey, lady,
doing great.
relax.
What do you care what I read and what I do?
I don't know, because you're on this podcast with me.
So today we're talking silence. Mr. Martin Scorsese's 24th feature film.
His 24th.
narrative feature film.
It's like if you add
And-
12 twice.
And yeah, that's math. Correct. And Brandon's last news sassy.
Last news sexy.
Can you throw in like a
It's already there. Playing right now.
Hope so.
Every,
There's been a couple edits where we're like, oh, play this.
Sometimes I
sometimes
leave
it's-
them on purpose.
Yeah, sometimes
that's
it's funnier.
You're right.
Sometimes.
There
but
was-
also, you haven't listened to Hugo yet, but he fucking schooled your ass.
Oh, nice. I'm excited.
Well, I didn't school your ass. You schooled your own ass.
Oh,
Which is like,
Did
come
you
on.
play a past clip?
Yes.
God damn it. I love it when you do that. I literally do.
It's fun.
I
It feels
fucking-
like I'm playing God.
Hey, that's Mr. Sessy's job.
Or is it Mr. Andrew Garfield's job today?
Oh, I wish it wasn't.
We love Peter Parker.
No, okay. We really don't if we're talking about Andrew Garfield.
Tom Holland's the best Peter Parker there. I said it.
Thank you. All three
I
are
also
gonna
don't give
be
a
in the
fuck,
next
but-
Spider-Man movie.
Are
you
they
hear
really?
that?
Because they're going with the multiverse theory. Bam, 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 down.
I might.
Hey, bitch.
That's cool. I'd maybe watch that.
The
They're either going to make
multiverse?
it great or they're going to fuck it up. All it takes is just like a good team of writers to be like, we're sorry for what happened to you. That was studio bullshit. I'm sorry, Sam. And then they look at the other two and they go,
Sam.
we're sorry, Raimi.
Okay.
Well, that's what fucked up with 3.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are generally great movies.
No,
okay.
they sure
Sam
are.
Raimi's directing the new Doctor Strange.
Weird.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be.
He's going to be able to be weird because it's all about the multiverse and shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're
But now
talking about
superheroes are dying.
It's a dying breed.
It's a dying breed. It's gonna
Because of
go.
COVID.
Yeah.
COVID might have killed superheroes.
Oh, thank Christ.
Speaking.
Exactly.
That's
Good
today's
segue.
movie. That's today's movie. It's Silence.
Temptation of silence.
Basically.
It's the last temptation of Scorsese. If
It
we're being
is.
frank here.
You're right.
And
That
I'm
was good.
Jesse.
And I'm
That
Frank.
was good. Brandon. I'm Brandon. That was good. I'm sorry. I'm shook.
It was good.
It's a testament to all of Scorsese's religious squandering or conundrums rather.
You know, we've talked many a time about the evolving gangster flick and how so many like echo each other as he's progressed. He's basically had a fucking decade at least.
Same with
And-
these.
But yeah, it's
These
like
religious
I feel
pieces.
like the 3 religious films actually function more as a clear trilogy than anything else he's done. Brandon, you just held up a 4th. Are you counting Bringing Out the Dead? Because that's a stretch.
Oh,
I do
thought you
see
guys weren't
similarities in
counting
these
Kunda, and I
movies.
thought you were counting Bringing Out the
No,
Dead.
Last Temptation, Kundun, Silence. Those are his 3 directly
Directly,
like
but
wrestling with faith. Because everything else is like just a part of the story, where the faith is the story here. Like Bringing Out the Dead, that's
I don't know. Like,
definitely a major part of it, and probably his most like.
Well, to
me-
I've read a review where they talk about the similarities between Rodriguez and Nick Cage's character in that movie, where they're both struggling with wanting to be God while simultaneously
Yeah.
fearing death, and that's something that's not talked about a lot.
So
So
do you
that's
wanna-
something that's overlooked.
We want to count that too. And say
well,
those
I always
4?
thought of like being a paramedic ambulance driver as a vessel for like religion. The way that he's struggling, the way that he's like still wanting to do it, but then not wanting to do it, quitting and not quitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I just need to know: are we officially saying that those 4 are the linked pairs? Nothing else belongs there too. No, that would be it.
That's like directly
maybe
religious
who's
'cause
that
we're not-
knocking at my door
Yeah,
or
but,
Mean
like,
Streets?
Let's not.
Not directly. Not directly. Those are definitely elements. Like I think Bringing Out the Dead is almost a border one where it's like, but the cover of the poster is a literal cross. Like, in his whole
He's
thing.
a
playing
savior
God.
of lives.
Yeah. Okay. So those are his 4 religious films. And I'm just going to say, how much do I say it out the gate?
Yeah, let's hear it.
That this is the best one.
Oh, I'm with you on that. No question.
Hard agree.
I think the maturity that Scorsese has reached was the missing pieces from all the other ones.
Well, you know,
Wait, you agree?
I said hard agree.
We still are counting Kundun. That's not out of there. You like this more than Kundun?
As a religious film, yeah.
he's got different qualifications, it sounds like. Regardless of the point.
Kundun's different to me. When I talked about Kundun, I didn't even mention, I talked about the learning experience.
So yeah, maybe do we remove Kundun? Is a better trilogy? Because that's about a different faith, but it's about faith.
But it's about faith. It totally is a religious movie, but that's just not how I would personally view it.
I do think that Bringing Out the Dead, probably now that I'm really considering it, might have more in common between The Last Temptation of Christ
It
and
for sure
Silence.
More than like Kundun.
Well, no, because Kundun is about duty thrust upon you. That is pretty similar to Last Temptation, at least.
Yes.
Where Silence and Bring Out the Dead are the two that you choose it. So that's
and
how
where doubt comes into play.
Yeah, the human films.
Yes, they're pairs and they're also a quartet.
Well, I was gonna say,
good job, Marty. You fucking dickhead.
Yeah,
just makes me mad how great you are. You're just so good. You're probably just sitting in a chair right now, like eating something crunchy,
just laughing,
just fucking giggling.
His daughter's showing him TikToks.
You prick.
I think a large reason why we might all think that this is his best outing with the religious theme is the fact that he's had the most time to make this over the course of his career than he did with any of those previous passion projects.
After Temptation, this is his other big one.
Yeah.
Like the 2 dream projects.
He read this during the making of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive.
I'm pretty sure too.
This was a book that was given to him by a priest that he met with in doing research for Last Temptation of Christ. He was like, you should read this book.
That tracks.
Ceci isn't Francois?
What?
Francois? Isn't that the name of Liam Neeson's character?
No.
It's not Francis?
No.
Gorera.
Ferreira?
No, Ferreira. Who is Gorera? Golape.
Garupe. And then Rodriguez.
Garupe.
Yeah, those 3 really Hispanic names played brilliantly by Liam Neeson, Adam Driver, and Andrew Garfield.
Wonderful.
Name 3 whiter men. Go for it.
Then Andrew Garfield, certainly it's hard. It's hard.
He's the hardest one to swallow. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk about this movie.
It's a tough and interesting little beast to tackle because it is a big movie.
Oh yeah.
Like in scale. It's a very subdued movie from style, like as far as like Scorsese's normal stylistic traits. Like there's not like an ass ton of whip pans. There's not a
There are a few which made me giggle.
There are a few. But they're not. But there's one shot in this movie that I think defines Scorsese's subtle brilliance.
Which one?
It's the one where, my God, it's the building of tension and Scorsese being so good at doing that. And that scene where Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver are sitting out on the rocks, like bathing in the sun because they haven't been out in so long. And I think it's Garfield who's like, come on. Let's go. And it's like, fucking, of course, the hubris again. Like, even from the start when he's like, Fernanda is lost to us. And it's like, no, we will find him. He is our God. Yeah. We will find him.
He's classic Scorsese pro tag.
And I think Brandon making the point that this is probably Scorsese's most similar work to Apocalypse Now is an interesting point.
I mean, it's the same plot arc.
Yeah, very similar. Well, then Heart of Darkness, going to Conrad, baby.
Yeah, just like this, going on this incredible journey, to meet this person who's not at all who you thought they were going to be,
and they don't appear until the 3rd act, but they're referenced throughout,
and they're built like throughout the course of this thing. Before you even know it, they're built up like a god in your eyes.
They're mythologized, but Ferreira is not nearly as heavy a point on the film by the time we get to real Japan, where they're struggling with the fact that they're going to die at any moment if their presence is revealed to the government.
He's always like
the people.
He's always like he was always tingling in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
I mean,
have you seen Apocalypse Now?
I haven't seen Apocalypse.
So like that movie, Kurtz occupies a very large portion of the background. Like I feel like I'm always thinking about Kurtz because Martin Sheen's always thinking about Kurtz.
I think that's you just connecting with
I was thinking
Apocalypse
about
Now more
Kurtz,
because I
maybe.
think in the whole middle section, I'm not thinking about Kurtz. I'm just thinking about them in the jungle. Like when they're doing acid or they're with the Playboys and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Or when their boat gets attacked. Like I'm not thinking about Kurtz. I'm thinking about them on the journey.
Mhm.
And it's only when he comes back to Kurtz, I'm like, right.
Right.
And the same thing here because Garfield does randomly keep coming back to Ferreira. They're pretty identical in like structure.
Yeah.
It's
He
straight
gets
up just
captured
lifted.
way earlier than Martin Sheen does when he gets to the island.
Correct. Yeah.
But they are very similar movies. And this is obviously much different in being directly religious. But the film like has this very like overwrought sense of like dread throughout. Like I just feel like it constantly weighs this heavy like dark cloud over you while you're watching it. Like nothing feels nice in this movie. There's never a moment where I feel like anything positive is happening, or there's not even a moment of levity where I feel like I have a moment to breathe. It feels like the entire movie is kind of intentionally trying to suffocate you.
I think that, you saying that I agree wholeheartedly, and it made me think about something I wanted to bring up, which is like this feels like the start of Ceci's final chapter.
Yeah.
Because everything you just said, it's like I kind of feel that way about The Irishman.
Oh,
like
big time.
Irishman is more pleasurable to watch, I guess, but I feel that same dark cloud over every moment.
Did
in
I
The
not say
Irishman.
that on a previous
I'm pretty
podcast
sure
where I
you
was
have.
like, that movie only rings as dark to me?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even the fun stuff, because it's like you still, and I don't know if this was an intentional choice on the part of Scorsese, and I know we're not talking about The Irishman, but I want to get it
We
out
always
now.
are.
That the old age contributes to that.
That's yes. So
like that knowing that they're already old
right.
makes it worse.
I agree. It's
know?
it's the inevitable is there, and I think that is just Ceci's mindset. I
Right.
feel like after Wolf, like that was the final expunge of like I'm not a young man anymore.
That was an exhale.
That was it, and now he's in like the woof. I'm knocking on death's door,
Yeah.
and that's what I think. Like Silence and Irishman are weirdly maybe like the best pair of movies we've had from Ceci.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they weirdly are so complementary, and like we needed both.
Yeah.
Because those are his two main themes: the religious doubt and like what am I, and then the gangster picture.
So while they're all like similar, I think I've been thinking about what's the difference with Silence. What's something in Silence that I haven't seen presented in these other sort of religious contexts? Because like there's a reason that I like it more. It's there's a reason. I mean, it's beating out like Kundun in that regard in terms of like the way that it resonates with me in terms of like a religious movie, and I'm trying to think about like the reasoning for that, and it's the way that they tackle the doubt in this movie and the way that they are very much in your face about it. Like it's not like a contemplative thing. It's like he is literally looking into the water and seeing the face of Jesus, and then like 45 minutes later you have Liam Neeson saying, if you were a real priest, if you were a real Christian, you wouldn't think you were God. Like he just says it. Like, yeah, I know you saw the face of Jesus in the puddle in the water. I did too. And, when I think about the way, doubt is very literal with The Last Temptation, but I think
we're in the form of like plot.
Yeah, and I think that it's just like, that's too on the nose. We talk about that being just like we're so familiar with that story, which is why it's harder for, it to like resonate with us that way. So I don't know, the way that it's presented, I guess maybe because it's more of a fuck you to like the self-righteous sort of religious, and that's what I do resonate with, where it's like, yeah, I'm glad that you have to come to these realizations under these harsh contexts because like you should know these things. And it's saying some stuff about colonialism that I think is super cool.
Yeah.
I think that earlier I was thinking like, I think that if I were to say or speak for Scorsese rather, it'd be that I think that he in a way probably sees himself as a priest in some form or another, that he's preaching with his films, that
Yeah.
he's giving a lesson. Like when you really break it down, he's actually creating his own version of the Bible with
course.
each of his movies. Like they're all just stories and generally all revolving around the same things, same themes to a certain extent, and they're all covering cautious ground. Like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
This is a path that leads to bad things. Because let's really break it down. How many Scorsese movies end happily? Like truly, truly happy. Hugo's a great example.
Because it's young. It's
Yep.
not corrupted by the world.
But I don't know if there's a single other movie that has a truly happy ending in all of
Like
Scorsese's
where the
canon.
characters think it's a happy ending too.
That's a big
Because
one.
You could maybe make a argument for Color or not Color of Money.
yeah, Color Money.
But King of Comedy too.
Right. Both of those you can make an argument, but I feel down from both.
Same.
Actually.
Oh, big time.
Well, no, Color Money, because I'm back.
Yeah,
back,
but
baby.
then what? But then we get the freeze frame, and that to me
Caught
says
in
like
the
that
moment.
I just don't like it. It just gives me something.
Oh, Alice doesn't live here anymore, technically does.
Kinda a little
They
bit.
like walk out of the restaurant to like applause.
Yeah. Right. But then okay, so with
But
all
we
that
know
said-
that's not a good relationship.
With all that said, I'm pretty sure I've read Scorsese was going to go into the seminary as a kid. Like he
Yes,
was
we've
going
talked
to be a
about that.
priest. So I think about that idea when thinking about this movie and given the quote death phase and that we're reaching probably his closest point to being truly close to that end and that literal objective fear of death impending.
We're there. This is proof positive. And The Irishman,
Yeah.
come on.
And well, I mean, back to back, no
Right.
question. And
It's like,
Killers of
okay.
the Flower Moon sounds like it's going in a similar trajectory.
It better. He better not try to revitalize. This better be his new mode of filmmaking.
But I think this is quite a personal film for him, not just in the way that it tackles religious themes, but I'm sure he sees quite a bit of himself, and not just Rodriguez, but also Ferreira.
yes.
It's similar.
both.
It's weirdly similar to The Color of Money when
Yeah.
you put it from that perspective too. But this is the reverse, where the older is actually the wiser, and the younger is the
This isn't about you.
overzealous.
Well, and they're both weirdly about you're not with the times.
Yeah,
You're behind. You
Yeah.
don't get it yet.
yeah.
And for some reason, things like, well,
Well,
and
because
you know
that's
the
the thing is,
difference.
he's not wrong, like Rodriguez, in that he's always fighting for what he believes in, and he believes that that's right. But what he also believes is that in order to be a real Christian, you have to completely give yourself to the faith, which then again makes you into a sort of de facto version of your own God by adhering to all those rules or whatever, that you can't adjust to knowing that the world is what it is and your faith is personal,
Yes.
and that it's not just everyone has to condone to you
right.
and what you believe,
Right.
brainwashing everyone else.
I think the difference between those two, and which is distinct on why it's like the young teaching the old and the old teaching the young, is that Color of Money is it's a sport. It's something physical. It's something you learn actually, like a trait. So like things like film or sports are going to always be evolving. And like, that's not like a mental thing. Whereas with silence, it's all in the mind. It is all about like, I have experience and wisdom. And that's why the young's teaching the old in Color of Money, because it's like, you got to keep up with the game. It's always evolving. And this is like, you don't get it yet.
Right.
But
you're always evolving.
yeah.
Right.
So that's a huge difference. Damn, Ceci's a G.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting
He's a
too that
fucking
somebody who
G.
is a devout Catholic like Scorsese surely is far more religious. Like if we were to actually have real Scorsese here sitting here talking. I'm sorry, Marty. I know
Wake
we'll bring
up.
you on another day. But
He's so tired.
if you were to truly
Just a
ask him about
sleepy
how he
boy.
felt about God and faith, I'm sure his answers would be far more askew from ours. You know,
Sure.
in that conversation.
Well,
But how he can make a movie that is so communicative to all people and all religions and all creeds and all belief systems in any form, you know?
I think it's because, well, at the end of the day, I still think this is a pretty pro-Christian movie, like in the final scenes and everything. But it's just about knowing how it affects you. So I don't think he'd be
It's pro-Christian in that that's the religion of the character. Like we said, king
and
of the
him.
headspace
and Ceci.
and Ceci.
That's what I mean.
But I think that, like I said, he's like Ferreira and that he recognizes, well, that's
Yes.
not the way of these people.
yes,
You know, I came here and tried to fuck it up. And so now I got to condone to their will.
yes.
But if that's how it's got to be, I can still hold on to my faith and not have to tell anyone. Silence.
yes,
And that alone is enough.
because
Because if God and Jesus really love you, then that should be enough.
all the all the egotism is always born out of, and now I'm thinking Bergman too. And it's always the existential fear born out of God's silence.
Oh yeah.
How come I can't hear him? If I'm supposed to hear him, if I'm supposed to be a vessel, how come I can't hear him? And then it's through that fear that you start to create your own answers. When the literal whole point of faith is to put your hands in trust in what is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's having inner faith. So yeah, being comfortable with the silence, being comfortable with you are what you are and you believe what you believe and you got to get to where you got to go. Damn.
And if what's you being comfortable with that, it does come down to being about you.
It always will.
Yeah.
It's interesting because both, Rodriguez and Ferreira get to this point and they both go through it in similar ways. But, you brought up this point off mic earlier when we were just chilling, Frank, when you said that Ferreira, his whole line of reasoning is that they don't even believe in the same, they don't even believe in the religion in the same context
Right.
as we do.
Well, that's his biggest argument. He's like, do you know what the word son of God? And then he points at the sun.
And it's
He's like, they're
that,
literally worshiping the sun.
he says that the Japanese cannot see beyond like nature.
That
And which is just and that was interesting to me because even if you know just a little bit about Japan, and I don't know about you guys, but I watched every single Studio Ghibli Miyazaki movie, so I know so much about Japan, and they definitely they definitely believe in things beyond nature, I guess.
Well, this is also a different Japan. 1640.
Well,
Yes.
you think that they just made up spirits for
No.
Studio Ghibli?
No.
No.
But I'm
Well,
saying
what
those movies a lot of the time take place past 1640.
But I was thinking about how the context in which he reaches this point almost feels sort of it feels almost like false, because that's not the way that I interpreted it while I was watching it. While I was watching it, I was just taking that as another point of fuck you, Rodriguez, you need to know what you're doing, as opposed to being hey, Ferreira, how come it's that they don't know the real context of the religion, and not that you realize that your faith is something that you keep to yourself.
Right. He kind of does frame it in a weird way.
That does ever since you said that earlier, that's been ringing in the head. He's maybe not as righteous as he's viewed as, but I also think that a point of the movie as it goes on is to try to paint him as while I feel on the first watch or whatever, you do get wrapped up in the whole godlike Ferrer figure, like I said earlier, but I can also see upon watching it again that it might be also painting him as a human who's had these intense failures at the same time. And so maybe it's my fault for thinking that his reasoning has to be, isn't the point that they both got to the point?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it actually matter if he's still our religion's right? They just don't get it, but it's they still learn how to live, quote unquote, what I would deem as correctly, within their own faith, but understanding that's not the world they're in. Instead of trying to push your world onto others.
Are we ignoring the fact that the Japanese actively make them say "fuck you, God"? Though, because I guess I don't know.
That only happened a few times where they took it further than just stepping on the plate.
Well, taking but at the very least, it was
didn't they say to call
denounced
Jesus a whore or something like that?
Something. Yeah,
they
son of a whore.
Yeah,
definitely the earlier halves of the movie are where the brutality occurs, but towards the end, there's a lot of
brutality throughout the whole thing.
You're right, but I mean,
it's a brutal movie.
with the stepping and the shits, I feel the stepping is something that occurs or is implied a lot more in the end. I'm pretty sure not Ferreira, Rodriguez. I don't remember what his Japanese name ends up being, but
I don't remember that either.
He's made the step fairly frequently. Every time someone has to step, he's there to also step.
I also found it weirdly, which Brandon, I know you've seen the movie. I don't know if you remember seeing the movie, but the latter half gave me very similar vibes. And even the entire lead up, I got Seconds vibes throughout the whole thing. because it's like very similar in that they just randomly pull the guy out of his life and they force this like new life and new existence and new identity on it. Like there's that point where they're literally like, hey, this guy died over here.
Yeah,
you're going to
him
take
now.
on his identity. You're going to take his wife and you're going to take his kid and hope that's cool, bud. Because
Didn't
that's
I
the
like-
way it is. And I mean, in theory, it's a much better life than the one he'd be living in those camps. So why wouldn't he take it if those are his two options? But he has to completely adopt himself with the complete personality of his past self in his head to this new person, this new identity.
Yeah, okay. I see
Just
you
in
there.
that latter half. That's where I started to feel those similar things. And then once it hit that, I was like,
I guess,
yes.
but I see it thematically for sure. I just like don't feel like those movies feel similar.
No.
Okay,
They
I
do have an
remember
impending
seconds.
sense of dread over the entire thing.
sure.
Didn't I like it?
Oh yeah, at the time.
It's a fucking cool movie.
It's a fucking great movie.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
John
Yeah.
Frankenheimer. Rock Hudson. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
What? I think it's funny that this is the episode that we've said the characters' names the most and not the actors. I feel like almost every movie we talk about, we're like Damon and DiCaprio. And this one, we've literally been saying Rodriguez and Ferrera.
I
Like, that's
respect the
hilarious.
story a lot in this film. Like, I think that the narrative is actually, like, as far as screenplays are concerned, this might be one of Scorsese's best. And I think it's interesting that this is also his first screenwriting credit since Casino.
Yeah. And
which
Jay
is,
Cox is back.
Jay Cox is back. This is another one that he was working on with him, I think, in conjunction with Gangs, like for a couple of years at the very least.
That makes sense. I want to
But
see it.
Jay Cox is the guy who also did writing on The Age of Innocence, Gangs of New York, and I believe he may have done work on Last Temptation of Christ. Like he was one of the few.
Yes.
Cool.
And, well, I think, personally, I think it's like a pretty, like, astounding first and third act movie. I don't love all of the middle. I like it all too. It's just like there's a point when he's in the camps where I start checking out, and it feels like they're just really dragging through the mud to make it feel that much more, I guess. But it's like at some point, it's like I already know the stakes for even him as a human. Like they have two.
Well, I said that at the beginning. I was like, I know what this whole movie is within the first scene when he,
Right.
which I don't know if we talked about this. Hold your point. I don't know if we talked about this, that the voice of Jesus in this movie is Ciaran Hinds, the guy who they talk to at the beginning,
Interesting.
the priest. And I'm like, that's
You're positive?
positive. I'm like, that's a choice. That's really interesting.
I thought it was Neeson's. Honestly,
No,
kind of sounds like him.
a little bit.
They got they do have similar.
Go ahead. Step.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Did that come out the same year? No, it wasn't the same year as The Witch. But I was like, reminds me of the opposite end.
No, I think
That'd be interesting. This and The Witch come out the same year.
I think theatrically, The Witch came out in 2016, like towards
Damn.
us. at
Man.
least, you know.
I will guide thy hand.
But it's a 2015 movie.
Yeah, what came out at Sundance? I don't know. Take a look.
2016.
Take a look. It's in a book.
Reading Rainbow.
Thank you
Sure.
for taking that over.
What was the thing? What year did I put it in? 2016, The Witch, same year.
Wow, cool. That'd
Nice.
be a cool double bill.
I like The Witch more
I want to see it again.
than Silence.
I know I like The Witch more than I like The Lighthouse.
That's
The
That's for
Witch.
damn sure.
Get The Witch mixed up with The Visit because of the W.
The Vavitch.
Dovovich. Zavavum. What? Wait. I just think that, like in Act 2, they have two different scenes of Andrew Garfield going crazy. There's when he looks
Yeah.
and sees Jesus in the water.
Well, that's
which,
what
like,
at the start of Act 2.
right. But then there's also when he's like in the camp, just waiting. He starts doing like a like the same crazed laugh, and it's like, I don't need it.
And
twice.
isn't there that scene where he bangs on the walls too, but it's
Yeah.
after he sees somebody get beheaded or something like that?
It's just like there's
"Ah!"
a point where it's like, oh, okay, you could have had some trimming in here. But I get you want the contemplative time on your journey and feeling the whole thing. But I was like,
What I do like, and it is relatively early into Act 2, but the scene, I don't remember the name of the guy who was guarding him. Like, he's the main guy who was guarding him, but they have the conversation.
The guy who
inside
kind of seems like he's nice, but is also a complete
The
piece of shit.
interpreter.
Is
not
that who that is?
complete piece of shit, I'd say.
He does some dastardly things.
Just trying to maintain order in this country, bro.
Are you talking about the
Careful with those words.
Are you talking about the head of the camp, or are you talking about the guy who could speak his language and would interpret for him, and he was always kind of there?
Interpreter.
Okay,
The interpreter.
he's credited as interpreter.
All right, because that's what he says when he first is introduced, and to him, it's not so much that he's like a asshole, but I just think he's very much like to the point of just like they have this conversation in the cell where he's like, you keep saying like your religion is right, but like it's only right to you. You're not thinking about anybody else in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And he says something along the lines of like, you can believe it still, but like this is what you have to do now, and like that's that. Why isn't that good enough for you? And
Right.
then Andrew Garfield is responding with, because I know it's the truth and I know it's right, and it only doesn't work because you silence it. And I don't know, that was very interesting to me. I was like, I know that they put you inside of this prison, but it's like you're building your own. And I don't know, I guess, like freedom of religion, like he should be able to preach, but also like, given the context of the film, I think that it takes way too long for him to just be like, all right, okay. I can believe, and that's okay.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
not
he's a priest.
it's not a bad.
Because he's been raised his whole life to believe one thing and never consider that it could be something else. That I am right. This is the word of God, and you get to speak it. You know what always blows my mind? This movie makes me think about it a lot. Is when, they show up, for no, and then we keep
Garupe
Garupe and Rodriguez. They show up, and obviously, like, the village loses their shit. They're like a real fucking priest, like, hallelujah. And they're like, talk to us, teach us, comfort us. It's just so interesting, people going to other people to be like, you tell me the word of God. And it's like, why would they actually know more?
Well,
if
not
you're
just that.
reading the same books and stuff.
I thought one of
Like,
the
they were
scenes-
human beings born and blessed, and so are you. It's
But
like,
they
why
were
do you
closer
need
to.
'em?
They were closer to. God.
I know, but it's like, why?
I thought
It's
one of the
just-
scenes in there that was most interesting, especially with the context of the whole movie, is when Garupe and Rodriguez are hearing confession.
right, and they can't understand.
And they
a word
can't,
of
and
it.
they mention that in the narration. He's like, we mostly couldn't understand anything that was being said by anybody, but we listened because it helped them
right.
to confess. But it's like, so you wouldn't if they were Buddhist? That's wrong. That's different. But you can't understand it either way.
Yeah,
Knowing they're Christian is all it takes. It's like you said, in a way, it's beautiful because it's like a language. All they have to do is show the sign of the cross.
Yep.
And boom,
I think religion.
they know that there's some connection there.
Religion
They're-
as a concept is like the most beautiful thing because like that. It's like you have your own language, your own symbols, your own rituals. You don't have to speak the same language, but we know how mass works. Like
Right.
that is quite literal, and you could go anywhere in the world and find people who believe the same thing as you, and you can do a thing together. That's like in theory the most beautiful thing that humans have ever done.
Yep.
Quite literally, but of course, humans are also the worst, and we ruin everything.
Gotta
good.
corrupt it.
Oh, hey, you did the same thing as me, a little different.
Kill.
Mine's right. Mine is right.
And that's what this movie's getting to.
Crusades.
That's what this whole movie's like dilemma and moral understanding is. It feels like Ceci's talking to Ceci, like in coming to terms with how he feels about faith.
Like this is the movie that he would show his younger self.
Right.
Well, I think that this is the identity movie between Rodriguez and Ferreira.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the two halves of the same whole. It's like Frank Sheeran talking to Henry Hill.
I see that. Well, kind of.
I see Ceci in both characters because I'm thinking about
Yeah.
the context of his whole career now, where I'm thinking about where Scorsese was in his younger years and the kind of attitude he had. You know, not just in the way he spoke through his films, but in the history of knowing who Ceci was in the public eye and all those other things.
Right. Brash, young, cocky, whatever.
Yeah.
And then withered, tired.
Yep. And then Raging Bull, another one that we didn't discuss, but should in theory be lumped in with his religious movies, given that he sees himself in a way as a Christ-like.
But I mean
figure.
at that point now we're venturing into all Ceci Pro.
That's true because they're
Travis
all like, they're all
Bickle.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple except
Yes.
like I don't think Paul Hackett's supposed to be the Jesus.
No.
He's like the anti. He's like,
No.
what if completely devoid of religion?
Judas. He's Judas on a wild night.
Judas. Kijijiro's Judas in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Kijijiro's
Forgive
the
me.
best.
He's the
He gets
proof.
banished again, doesn't he?
at
at
the
the very end?
They kill him.
They probably murder him.
But and when he finally has true religion,
Mm,
when Kijijiro finally does the right thing,
mm,
when he doesn't sell out
mm,
Rodriguez for being found for his own faith,
mm.
because he has religious memorabilia,
Yeah.
which is illegal.
Now, Frank, I'm curious just because I remembered the other day that when you had first watched this, I remember we were talking at the time and you were not as positive sounding as you are now on the movie.
Yeah, I when I first saw it, I basically felt everything I just said. Like I was surprised how engrossed I was in the first half, like when watching it, because at the time was like peak me being anti-religion. So I was like surprised. I was like, okay, I fuck with this. This is pretty awesome. Literally gorgeous. Like that alone pulls me in.
Very gorgeous movie.
We'll talk about that more.
Thinking second act was a little slow and rough to endure, but it was still with it. Thought once Neeson showed up, it was like, this is amazing. And I was like emotional, like Garfield maybe stepping on the plate. I was like, damn, this is a good movie. And then I literally loathed the ending. I thought it was some of the biggest garbage bullshit I'd ever seen. And it's fascinating to me now because I don't feel that way. I thought
it didn't seem like it.
I think Irishman helped. I think it like made me recontextualize like what he was doing. And then I'm older and more comfortable with like I was doing the same thing as Rodriguez, where I'm like anti-religion. How could anybody believe something that's so stupid? And just being like,
It's a
no,
beautiful
it doesn't
thing that
matter.
He got to keep that
Right.
throughout his entire existence afterward.
Exactly. And it's like, because he actually learned. And it's like, okay, me too. People don't have to not believe in God.
You're Rodriguez.
Do your thing. We all are. That's the point. Literally everyone, even subscribing to nothing, is still subscribing to something.
Yeah,
We all
it is a
subscribe
belief
to
system.
something. We have to. Our whole existence is defined by what you believe comes after. Nothing. But that's okay.
And that's what Scorsese is tackling.
At
here.
the end of the day, yeah.
So would you
And
say
I
it
do-
boded well on the rewatch?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I'm in a different place in life. I'm a lot calmer, and I literally think the idea of religion is the most beautiful thing. Especially, and I said this a few times in the movie, especially at this time, this is when religion's the most necessary. Like, people are fighting to survive every day. Like, it makes sense to me that these people in Japan are like, we need something. You need hope. That's how societies evolve. If it's not through, it was through religion, and then it was through art and innovation. And now we're just so evolved, we don't know what to do, and everybody's fighting for their piece of the corner.
Yeah, and it's like you think of it this way, like, you know, when they say that the Japanese take nature as the proof of God or whatever,
Right.
like the son of God, that when the people end up getting killed or tortured because of their beliefs, and they take that to Rodriguez to be like, see, look what they're doing. And he's like, no, stop, apostatize, and they've already apostatized a bunch of times.
Right.
Like they've already said, we don't care, we don't care. They're doing it for you
They're doing it for you.
because they could see you.
You're real.
Yeah, you're here.
Your
You came,
hope.
and you're telling them you're here for them. You're doing exactly what they believe in. It's
He's
like
their Jesus.
It's like fucking going to the mall when you're 2 years old and there he is, Santa.
I knew it.
I'm gonna tell him everything I want.
I don't think I ever went to a mall Santa.
Never.
Oh, I did. My parents were all about Christmas.
I've
Tracks.
seen. I definitely have a picture with a Santa, but it wasn't at a mall. It was like at a church thing.
Have I told this on the pod?
You haven't.
Okay.
Should we wait?
no.
If it's a Santa thing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell it fast because we already brought up. What are the odds of this coming up again like this?
I don't know.
Christmas movie? It doesn't matter. Every year
I
at
heard.
our family Christmas party, somebody dresses up as Santa and Santa comes for the kids. I had
Nice.
to be at 1 year was the most anxiety
Santa
I've ever had
what?
in my life. Santa comes every year? What?
Sorry, you just said Santa comes for the kids really fast. It was
Jesus
funny.
Christ. Okay, so he comes. And I remember being child and Santa coming. And I was
Being
like,
child.
yeah.
Okay.
And Santa comes downstairs and I'm losing my shit. Woo! And then came a year where I was old enough where I noticed the year after, hey, wait a minute. Santa's not a girl. What's happening? Like, that's not fucking Santa. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Did you say that
Did you
out
say it out
loud?
loud?
I
Please tell me.
started going around with the other kids, like, what's going on? I was like, something's not fucking
I'm starting
adding
a
up.
coup. What's happening?
Frank created a mutiny.
But then it still took me. And I remember actually talking to my parents, and in retrospect, them probably having that look of like, he finally knows. And I was like, that's not the real Santa. Like, why? What? You guys can't get him? I still believed.
If I were your parents, I'd be like, that little fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He's so close.
It took a couple
It
more
took
years.
me a couple years after my dad gave me the explanation of it's the spirit of Santa that's real.
That was
Santa
fucking,
Claus the man doesn't exist, but the spirit of Santa lives forever.
So
did
you're
you punch your
saying
dad in
Santa-
the fucking face? Did you just hit him? Did
No,
you go
man,
like,
I probably
get-"
thought it was really beautiful at the time.
He started crying.
I was like, at least it's something. And then I was like, if I believe in the spirit of Santa, maybe those gifts will still come every year. I don't know.
No, I
Remember
was,
when everybody yelled at me when I was like, we shouldn't tell kids about Santa? And they're like, literally, why?
No, I
Like,
think that it's a lie. Why set the precedent
you
for your children?
motherfucker.
I'm there now.
You
I'm there
did
now.
not defend me at the time.
I'm there now.
You
I'm
motherfucker.
there
I was
now.
alone.
No,
I
hey,
had like
hey,
7 people being
but I
like,
said-
what is wrong with you?
But
How?
I said it's the spirit of Santa that I
Fuck
believe.
off.
I don't
You
know.
preach the spirit of Saint Nicholas.
It's
Fuck
half and
off.
half. We've talked about this. It's half
Don't
like
you want
wanting.
credit?
It's half like wanting to give fucking your child something to believe in. 'cause
Why?
The world is terrible, and then it's half like, no, you should probably.
No,
get
yeah,
your
that
kid-
is it. That
you
is
should
it.
probably get your kid hip to the world, so they're not fucking shell shocked.
But then, what if you
18.
shell shock them young? Are we just gonna end up with even more
No,
Travis
because the
Bickles?
kids can absorb it easier than fucking adults.
I hope.
I feel like I would still.
Kids are sponges.
Nope. Actually, after I
Look,
fucking
we don't know
learned that
anything. We
Santa
haven't
wasn't
taken
real,
any classes. Why? We're all speculating. We're all.
No,
This
I'm
has
not
nothing to do with
speculating,
science.
Dick.
We're not talking about
This
the
is
nature
science.
of Santa.
Listen,
This
after
is silent science.
after I learned that Santa wasn't real, I still very much enjoyed Christmas and Christmas related things. So
Same.
I,
Exactly.
I
so I
definitely
don't
still
think
do.
that it would be a detriment to like just be like, hey kids, Santa's not real, but like
just don't
this is
think-
like the fucking mascot. Like it's literally like Cupid. Like we know Cupid's not real. Literally the mascot of love.
I'm not saying
Cupid
you
is
should-
real. Love is
Jesus.
real. So
Shut
Cupid is real.
I'm not
Stop it.
saying you
It's
should
what love
sit-
is.
I'm not saying you should sit your kids down and be like, look, here's the horrors of the world. I'm saying situationally, as things come up, you should probably literally never lie. Because
Stop.
lying about things is what creates all the problems in the world.
Yeah, did you know that Grimes and Elon Musk's kid, Luxa Turner or whatever its name is fucking
Fuck off.
has seen Apocalypse Now?
Cool.
Isn't it not even like one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good
So
for
he's
it.
doing exactly what you think, Frank.
No, it isn't. I
Sit-
said
sit down, son.
situationally.
Sit down. We're gonna
Like,
watch
what happened to
Boy,
grandma?
it's murder.
She died.
Solo.
What does
or the
that
120
mean?
Days
Let's
of
talk
Sodom.
about it. You know? Santa, what's that deal? He's a thing parents tell their kids because I don't know.
I'm gonna start a family tradition every year. 120 Days of Sodom on Christmas Day, first thing in the morning. Okay, kids, let's watch this, and then we'll open presents, and then let's see how we feel.
Don't be greedy. You get 2. Everyone gets 2. This is what happens to the greedy.
You're gonna get CPS called on you in 4 seconds.
Real quick.
They're gonna
Well,
be like,
I
the
don't have any
moment you
kids.
hit play, they're gonna swing through the windows.
I
Give
don't
me
have
those
any
kids.
I don't have any kids.
In
But
the
I thought you were talking about when you have a family. That's literally what you
I
said.
see. Oh no, I thought you were talking about right now. I was like, what the fuck?
I thought you meant every morning on Christmas.
Yeah.
You'd sit the kids down.
Yeah.
To be like, here you go. Here's some salo for you.
Isn't that what you were talking about?
On Christmas morning, the whole family.
So yeah.
Yeah,
you're
Yeah.
gonna
So
get
once
CPS.
that happens, yes,
Jesus
that's
Christ.
I agreed there.
You're gonna take those kids.
But maybe
away.
by then the world will be progressive enough that we don't have to worry about.
Why show them sallow?
Look, you can start.
Chaos, that's why.
I said
You can start lower. You
situationally.
can totally start.
Look,
lower.
I'm just looking for a reason to talk about it at any given point.
show them.
Force that on
Donkey
your
Kong.
kids. Now you're trying to bend them to be like you.
You're right.
You're
right.
no
I'm like
better.
Rodriguez. Fuck.
That's what all parents are doing. It's awful. Don't have kids.
Everyone is Rodriguez. Learn to not do that to your children.
Wear a rubber.
Yeah, do that.
Yes.
We ain't telling you to stop. Fuck
Get
it.
a snip snip.
You better have a raincoat in your pocket. That's my mom talking to me when I was
You
14.
gotta get killed walking your doggy.
It was awesome. Gonna get killed walking your doggy. So silence. Fuck. Okay, we brought up Prieto a minute ago.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we talked about how pretty this movie looks.
I recently watched Brokeback Mountain for the first time.
What do you want, a trophy?
Also,
Angli.
do you have one?
Angli.
No.
Ang
Ang.
Lee.
Lee.
Brokeback Mountain.
Yes.
Shot by
Rodrigo Prieto.
And I think Brokeback is literally probably one of the 10 best looking movies I've ever seen. It was just gorgeous. Every fucking shot. Stop. It's so good. I don't know. Wait, what is the line?
I don't know how to quit you.
No. I mean, that one is magical. I wrote it down. Hold on. Fast or slow, I just like the direction you're going. I was like, whoo! I literally started blushing at the screen. I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal, calm down. She's like, am I going too fast? They're like, fuck. And he's like, I don't care. I was like, woo. Anyway, one of the like 10 best looking movies I've probably ever seen. Silence. Definitely one of the best looking Scorsese. Definitely one of the best looking. I think sometimes when they were in like the huts and stuff, it was a little ugly, which I didn't remember.
Probably purposefully. So?
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Because everything outside was just like, wow.
Well, I also said that one shot where he's walking along the cliffside. I'm just like, okay, like you just put a camera there and it just looks good. Like you don't even have to fuck with the f-stop.
You still have to put the camera there.
You do. You have to do the dirty work to
You're
get up
talking
there.
about when that fog was rolling over the green.
Yeah, no, I
mountain.
think that was right before he got caught. I think that was.
Oh no! It was when they first arrived.
No.
And
He was
the
by
sec-
himself. He's by himself.
Oh, I think they did the same shot twice because they were
No,
mirroring
it's
it.
not on the beach. He's like way up in the mountains already. I promise.
Oh, when he's walking atop the mountain.
Yes.
Yes, and then they turn the camera and you
Mhm.
see like the world, and it was
mhm.
like, whoo, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cheating.
Oh well, and speaking of the shots, I never got to mention what that moment was earlier. That what like, defined what Scorsese is so good with tension is when they're out sunbathing, the two of them,
Christ.
and the camera.
I
is
apologize for anybody listening to this podcast. Continue.
what. It's not my fault. Somebody derailed me at some point.
As if you don't derail.
Yeah,
You're the derail king.
Oh, fuck off!
No,
No, we're the
you-
derail kings.
Yeah, it's a collective trophy.
Yeah. We are
But anyway,
triarchy.
the ghost of the chronic canon. Here. Anyway,
I'm Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon. Boo.
When the camera moves with that bird and then it snaps back to that perfect central shot,
Yep.
seeing the people through the trees.
It's good.
It's too good.
It's too good. What do you so if this isn't his best shot movie, what is? Like what's in the conversation?
I mean, we still haven't talked about it actually yet, but I think The Irishman is.
I don't. We'll have to watch. Okay, let's exclude Irishman because we need to watch it again. Excluding
Up to
Irishman.
this point,
I would say
That's what they
there's
would
some
guess.
there's some shots in Kundun that I really love.
Kundun's a pretty good looking
it's
movie.
it's popping like with the colors and
Roger
stuff. Like,
Deakins.
I
They-
wouldn't
they
even
do-
say that's top 5.
They do very well. I would have to say. In terms of like good looking, I don't know if anything is on par with this movie though, man.
I think
I think Raging Bull might be like the objective choice.
Aviator.
Again, with
Well, for cinema, are you talking cinematography or just how it looks?
well, cinematography is how it looks.
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna
Isn't
say it rude like that.
cinematography more like the direction of the camera and not just like how
It's
it
everything.
looks
No
on
light,
the screen?
lighting is incorporated.
The
into
director of
cinematography.
photography controls the look of the image.
Because like I guess I was gonna say like cinematography wise, like just in terms of like how a movie should look and how like how the best a movie could look in terms of like visually, I would say like yeah, Raging Bull. What they do in there is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the stuff that's nicest and prettiest to look at, the stuff that's undeniably gorgeous is in Silence. And why isn't there a difference?
I don't think well, there isn't one because it is all subjective at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even though I said Raging
And-
Bull is the objective choice. But when
because it isn't.
to me, I think a lot of the time when it comes to cinematography, and this is a personal thing, but I do think composition plays a large part of it.
It
Like
does.
the way that the frame is staged, the way that things are set up, the way that the characters are placed, the way that the lighting is, the way all of it, the mise en scène, let's go there. Fucking, it's like all of it. Like the way that all of it works within the narrative to push the story forward because film is a visual medium. So it's like, how is the visual influencing what's going on in the narrative or what's going on in the characters' heads?
Yes.
And I think that Raging Bull is a beautiful example of that. Like, not just in the fact that the compositions of all the shots are pretty much gorgeous wall to wall, but the black and white is a huge choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something Scorsese really hasn't done outside of Who's That Knocking at My Door.
He literally
Correct?
hasn't. He
So
literally
that's
hasn't.
that's the one movie that he chose that format for.
Mhm.
But that's why I go off about that movie and Michael Chapman's work. Like if you're talking about him in his time working with Scorsese, which I believe is only on a few movies,
Mhm.
that's definitely their crowning achievement together.
Absolutely.
And then if we're going with Bauhaus, After Hours is up there because I think if you're talking about like his camera movement and like being able to capture the energy that Scorsese funnels into all of his movies,
Yep.
After Hours is a great example. Color Money is a great example. Goodfellas is a great example. It's hard because, like we've said, it's all great pretty much in every movie after a certain point. Like he starts to understand how the camera works, and that's part of what makes Scorsese so good.
Yeah, that's fair.
So all of his, well, but then there are the outliers like Gangs of New York and Bringing Out the Dead, which are just not good looking movies to me.
Experimental. You want to try.
Experimental for sure, but I just don't like the aesthetic of those movies. And then I think, is it the aesthetic of the time? And then I'm like, well, no, because there's plenty of movies that came out within that same time period that I love and love the look of.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a choice on Scorsese's part, trying to be like a new wave Limp Bizkit visual director.
I think that's the second time you've made that comment somehow.
Really?
Limp
Good.
Bizkit seems like a fresh reference.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering something.
But I think if you're asking me, it's probably up to this point, Raging Bull and Silence are probably like his two best looking movies visually.
I would have to agree with you there.
Probably. I mean, I maybe say Aviator. So.
I even think King of Comedy is one that I think about a lot.
And
And being
Age
a
of
very
Innocence.
subdued. Oh, fuck. I forget
Because
about the
pretty
Age
much
of
every
Innocence.
shot in Age of Innocence
Yeah, it's
is
fucking
gorgeous.
I forget
Gorgeous.
that Age of Innocence. This is it. It's just like pretty.
Yeah, it's a very pretty
like
movie.
it's a pretty movie.
I think that's the thing you took away, if anything.
But then I agree that I think I would throw Goodfellas and After Hours into the conversation as like two like they don't stand out necessarily, but they're absolutely perfect.
Go
for what they're
Cabana
doing.
Shop.
While still standing out, they're both very loud.
Yeah. I think, well, I think I don't talk about Goodfellas half the time because it's something that's been talked about to death. And I mean, so is Raging Bull, but I think that that is like without question. It's like, yeah, it's fucking good. And I mean, that's the same way I feel about De Niro in that movie. Like, there's just that's why I ultimately think that maybe I need to see it again so I can just confirm that it's up higher on the list than I currently have it. Because
so
I'm like, I think about it all the time, talk about it all the time. And it's for some reason not near the top. Well, not like, as near as it should be given my praise for it.
I don't know.
because
I think it's finally
when you
right.
do it in a series like this, it all depends on what version of the story resonates with you the most, not which movie is better at the end of the day.
That's
I
a very
think
good
knowing
way of putting
Scorsese
it.
even better now is going to make Raging Bull that much better.
I think it's
going
gonna make
back.
all the early ones better.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
I
I don't know if there's much you can do about Who's That Knocking at My Door.
Okay.
Maybe there's
And
something
Boxcar
in
Bertha.
Boxcar
Mean
Bertha.
Streets is this that the first two don't exist.
Yeah.
The limit doesn't exist. So okay, but no matter what, Silence is like definitely top 5. Like all in almost an objective sense, like Raging Bull.
Mhm.
Like those two almost feel cemented. Like I won't believe you
Yeah.
if you don't include those two.
And he makes
And-
some weird choices with the shots, like that overhead aerial shot of them coming down the steps on like a 14
Oh, yeah.
millimeter lens. It's like,
When they're
what the
first
hell? But
leaving.
it looks so cool.
And I mean, rightfully so in some sense. It's the only Oscar it got nominated for that year.
Yeah, right.
Was
We did talk about
because
that.
this was a pretty under the radar movie, which
Mhm.
is not surprising considering it's a super fucking long movie about Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that's not exactly in
Do you
vogue
see
anymore.
how many people are listed as a producer on this?
It's got to be a lot, right?
41.
Well, I mean, Ceci's weird.
Jesus,
He's got like shooters,
41.
you know,
that's a lot of.
he's got shooters.
He's got to get his money from so many. I don't understand what it is with these directors.
because he wants no holds barred. He's like the blank check
But the
director
no,
that
he's not
makes his own blank check.
Yeah, because
Where
he's
he's-
not given that blank check. Only sometimes.
I
He's
think
just like,
after-
if I need more money, I'm getting more money.
Yeah.
And he's so good at what he does that there's literally like an endless amount of people that are like, here's
Well,
some
he's
more
like
money.
a Van Gogh. It's like, how do you turn down giving Martin Scorsese your money?
I don't have a lot. And if he asks for some, I'd give it to him.
I think after Wolf's literal controversy of like where'd this money come from. People were
Whoa.
probably a little hesitant to like give their money to Ceci.
He's probably like, well, thanks, Leo.
Right.
You're not playing one of these Portuguese priests.
And also,
Normally, I would have thought of you.
what is profitable of a 2-hour and 40-minute movie about two priests trying to find a third priest in 16th century Japan? If somebody sat down and said that to you, I don't care who the fuck it is, you're not going, that's money in the bank.
Yeah. Though,
Proof positive. Let me change it.
logical
Stop it. Proof positive. The budget was $50 million, which today is 54.2. We're finally under 10% inflation.
nice.
It
But this is
made
rough. This is rough.
it made 23.8.
Yikers.
And
Not
that's
even
worldwide.
half.
That's worldwide.
Not even half. So proof is in the pudding. Why would anybody have even paid for this in the first place? Of course, it was going to lose money.
This
Who the
movie
fuck
is
wants to see
specifically
this?
for Marty.
Yeah,
It's
And
a
good
Marty movie.
for fucking him for doing it.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, and critically, I think it was mostly great, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah, I
Nobody
don't-
was fighting that this is one of his best.
This is going to be a movie that, unfortunately, and I don't like to talk about the day that it happens, but when Marty's gone, this is going to be something that people talk about that much more.
And same thing with Irishman.
Yeah,
Like even that feels, even though there are people who are like us that are already singing its praises from the heavens, but they both seem very clear. This new chapter, it's like people are going to look back and be like, we had it so good.
Yeah.
Like, look at what I'm Killer of the Fire Moon will confirm it if this is a new chapter or if this was a bump in the road. And even if it is just a bump in the road, we at least have these two, which like they're so weirdly complementary.
Yeah, they are.
You know,
And they're similar in tone in the use of like I said, that just it almost feels like a dark blue like over both movies, you
I
know.
weirdly understand what you're saying.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's coming. He knows.
Mhm.
What are the last things I gotta say?
Mm-hmm.
Religion's hard and confusing. Stop trying to be God. And like
And
life's
that plays
hard.
into the Irishman too, though,
Yeah,
because
you'll
the,
see
the hierarchy of the mob is the same thing as
everything.
everything.
The
We've-
Irishman to me speaks to more of like a make your own decisions because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to have to live with them.
Yeah,
You know, Frank Sheeran is somebody who went through his whole life just doing what he was told. But at the end of the day, you see him on his knees groveling, begging for
Same
forgiveness.
thing with Rodriguez.
Bazinga.
They're the same person, just doing what he
God,
thought
De
was
Niro
right.
is so helpless in that last scene.
It's
So
the scene with the daughter is
he
the-
can't even speak. Like he can't even talk to the guy at the end of the movie. He's like, just, leave the door. It's gonna be so hard.
I
I'm
wanna
literally
die.
about to like my chest.
Yeah.
My
Mine started
chest.
hurting. Mine started hurting. I don't want to die.
God damn
I'm
it!
so afraid.
That movie.
That movie's
It's too good.
Everything. Anybody who
I
does it-
apologize to anyone listening to this podcast who is a chronic listener of the show because
no.
next week's gonna be a mess.
If you're a chronic listener, you're right there fucking with us.
I hope.
And if
I hope
if at the end of this, everybody doesn't think it's number one, we failed.
we did.
No, that's the Rodriguez thinking.
God, you're right.
God damn it!
Did you learn nothing?
Apparently fucking not.
Fuck.
Liam, get in here.
Maybe Irishman will be the last step. Man, why do we even judge movies? What are we doing? Ranking them?
It's personal.
Rating 'em?
It's personal.
It
We're
is
just
personal.
if you want to listen,
It's
that's
for
up to
us.
you.
Just like all things.
So
Nobody
I
has
guess.
to listen
So
to
I
religion.
guess. Wait a minute.
We're gods of the
No.
chronic canon.
No, guys.
Wait, people have a choice to listen?
Do we got to
to
get rid of the heat rule?
I knew you were gonna say it, you son of a bitch.
Did this change the game?
But it's fun to say.
It is fun to say. And it's our podcast. We can do whatever the fuck we want. I'm not fucking leaving.
We are God. Fuck it.
Apparently, we haven't learned anything since Wolf of Wall Street.
No
We're not
heat,
fucking
no
leaving.
stay.
A lot more people are gonna have to die before you get me to change my mind.
We're heating this.
We're
Typical
heating this.
Rodriguez way.
But let me ask you a question. If they didn't like Heat, but they
Hoo-ah.
loved The Irishman, how would that hit you?
Impossible. Does not compute.
The limit does not exist.
What do you
Bullshit.
mean?
Bullshit.
Which one did you
Rewatch.
watch first? Go watch the other
You
again.
fucking moron. If you exist, killers. I'm kidding. Please bleep that out. I'm kidding. Please don't kill yourself.
Listen, if he didn't bleep it out, he doesn't mean it.
But like what? Somebody's gonna look you in the eyes and say, I love The Irishman, but I hate Heat. That doesn't make sense. I could get the other way around. I'd still be flabbergasted, but like I love Heat, but Irishman, that was a little boring. Like, fine, you fucking idiot. But like I love The Irishman. That's one of my favorite movies. But you know what fucking sucks? Heat. Who
How?
are you? Go fucking kill yourself. I stab my head.
Frank, what are we just?
Chaos. I'll never learn. I'll never learn.
So,
Welcome to the Chronic
fucking
Canon. This is what it usually is like.
and that'll conclude the alternate ending of Silence.
But speaking of things that are going to rile Frank up, Andrew Garfield.
I've been waiting.
We haven't talked about
Performance
him.
of the century.
Okay, calm down. Just because you
Sorry,
don't fucking hate
decade.
it like us
I
doesn't
don't hate
mean-
it all the time. There are times where I
Frank,
hate it.
I'm
When
in a weird boat with him where I'm like, I hate it, but
It's also fine.
it sometimes works.
Yeah.
And sometimes, but only because it's emotional. I'm just it's like, are you good? What are you?
When this movie ended, we all turned and we all agreed we don't understand how such a pretty bad overall performance somehow didn't ruin the movie. Like we were all like, I still liked it. It still worked, but I also kind of hated his performance.
Big time.
And it's weird, but clearly it had to be good enough to not ruin the movie. If it was that bad, it would have ruined the movie. He's the literal lead. He's guiding us through the whole thing. So yes, it technically can't be that bad. But also, it's horrible. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why is he in this movie?
Trample.
See, I thought that was supposed to be powerful.
Yeah, I
And
was
I feel
cracking up.
I feel like, for 1 second, it was. For 1 second, I was there. I felt it you fucking trample. He's trying so hard to be good. And then the very next thing I heard was, and I was like,
must
oh
trample.
no.
Now,
Why you got so much jaw
I
in there?
literally, when I watched it with my dad the first time, I made him rewind because I was cracking up. And he was like, what? I was like, play it again.
I do want to point out that before the movie was cast with the cast that it currently
It
remains
had the
with,
greatest cast of all time.
it had an amazing cast. It had Gael Garcia Bernal playing Rodriguez,
Perfect.
Benicio del Toro playing Garupe,
Perfect.
and Daniel Day-Lewis rounding out his J. Cox Martin Scorsese trilogy with Ferrera.
That one really pisses me off.
Yeah.
As much as I think Liam Neeson's the best part of this fucking movie, can you imagine?
Well, did you know that they
It
traded?
was fucking Daniel. Yeah, Lincoln.
Yeah, they traded movies that
They
year.
traded movies. Liam was supposed to be Lincoln, which probably would have been fucking dope.
Yeah, I actually, in a weird way, I think it might have been better because I
Yeah,
think he looks
just
more
like this.
Lincoln.
Just like fucking this. Can you imagine Daniel Day-Lewis walking in third act to be like, let me tell you what's going on?
Yeah,
Be
but
like,
Daniel didn't want Best Supporting. He wanted Best Actor. He knew what he wanted and he got it.
I'm better than that.
I'm better than him and I shall have his award.
Listen.
Fucking chic.
Okay, actually, though, we needed Gael and Benicio in there.
We needed a big time. As much as I love to sing the praises of Adam Driver, and even did when this movie came out. And granted, I do think he's trying his damnedest.
For sure.
And I think that Garfield, in a way, is trying his damnedest too. But it's like, come
sure.
on, man. At least fucking, I kind of buy Driver more often than not.
Adam Driver is a very weird actor for me, where it's
Fuck off.
I know in my heart, that what he's doing is good, but it's just the way that he's built and the way that he sounds like he's holding something in his throat or something. I don't know.
I mean,
Where
you're
he's
not
just
wrong.
no.
What are you gonna do about it?
What do we? I'm Jewish.
I don't think.
Black Klansman.
Oh, okay.
It's like, this got dark. What's
I,
going on?
I'm just saying, I don't know, even if he's I feel like movies where you can't even argue that his performance is phenomenal, I would still be like, I don't know about that because of just I don't know, he's awkward for me.
I will say,
But
I
the
think
scene
this
in the
is-
ocean is good.
this is his worst performance for sure. By far. Of the things I've seen, which isn't that many, I think it's the worst thing he's done for sure. But that scene in the ocean is good, but anybody doing that's gonna make me feel emotional. No, not that, Jamie! Like, yeah, that's emotional, man. If they commit and
Swimming
do it,
way out there.
yeah, like maybe Adam Sandler, I wouldn't feel like I was crying.
Take way.
No, can I just
Take
say?
way.
Can I just say? Because I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod before.
Adam Sandler right now.
You're imagining Adam Sandler as
That's
Groupie.
what I meant. It was just somebody deep fake, please, please, and give him the Billy Madison voice. Like, come on, it would be the you know what? I would appreciate that more than whatever fucking atrocity attempt at an accent the two of them sometimes do.
It's weird. They,
That is impossible.
and here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing about fucking Andrew Garfield is that he's British, and he'll drop his fake ass Portuguese accent,
And then it'll be American.
and then he does an American. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make a
It doesn't
fucking
make
lick of sense.
any sense to me. At least Liam Neeson's just like, this is how I speak.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna try. He said no.
Have you ever heard Liam Neeson do another accent in the movie? I think he doesn't.
No, I think he has.
I
He
haven't-
he did in Gangs of New York.
Did
Did
he?
he?
Yeah, he definitely
Don't
tried.
never look back.
Fucking stupid movie.
I don't know. I think that might be his thing. Like, this is how I speak. Actually, no. Yeah. No, wait. Isn't he like Irish?
Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind. He definitely does like more of a British accent in Taken. Oh,
But
no,
I was gonna
American.
I was gonna mention
will
something
find you,
earlier about
and I will kill
Sandman.
you.
Did you guys know that Sandman was supposed to be in Inglourious Bastards in the Eli Roth part?
What?
That was originally supposed to be Sandler, and that
Never seen it.
when
It's a small part.
when Paul Thomas Anderson went to visit the Little Nicky set to talk to Sandler about Punch Drunk Love, Tarantino was there too, and he was like, "What are you doing here, Paul?" I'm like, "The fuck, man, I'm trying to get him in this movie." And Paul's just like, I don't care, man. Like, I'm gonna get him first.
I love
Wait,
it.
for real?
Yeah.
I literally-
But imagine how much better Inglourious Bastards would be if Sandler was the Bear Jew.
No.
Okay, but literally nobody could play Barry.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm
Had
not
to
saying
be
no,
Afro.
but what he could have been in both. They're years apart.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I thought you were gonna say the Mike Myers role, and I was like, I'd buy that.
Interesting.
I mean, just like, why is this random comedian in this?
But you could
movie?
never recast Mike Myers. He is another person who has no bad performances.
I love the Austin Powers movies.
I love The Love Guru.
Don't mess with
I
this.
love. I married an axe murderer. didn't
Yeah.
I?
You know, The Love Guru would make a great combo with Silence.
Yeah, probably about finding inner peace.
You're
Never
you're
s-
Mariska Hargitay.
I've never seen The Love Guru.
Neither have I. I won't.
Have
He
you
says-
even seen?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
How was
Say
it?
his name again.
No, well, it's not his name. He says it as a blessing to people. Mariska Hargitay. And that's the name of the actress from SVU.
Look at his stupid fucking face. Mike Myers. Letterboxd
Okay,
picture's
here's the
very
thing.
Funny.
Whenever I see like regular like white dude looking Mike Myers, I just think of George Bush does not care about black people.
Oh my God, I forget that he was the guy that was there with
Stood
Kanye
right next to Kanye, just like made like.
in the Katrina relief.
You've never
video.
seen
Yeah.
that?
I mean, I have. I don't remember it being.
It's Mike Myers.
I don't think he was right next to him, but I think
Yes,
it
he
cut-
is. They're right next to each
It
other.
doesn't cut to like a solo video of Mike who has
No.
to like take over.
No.
It's so funny. The way that he looks as Kanye says it,
Keep it
that's the
muted.
Mike that I think about.
Cut to Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker, so
Everybody's just like,
the look on his face before he knows it's coming to him.
I
it just-
remember when that happened.
magic.
It makes me happy. It literally makes me happy. It's so good.
George
The
Bush
way-
doesn't care about black people.
The way that you know that Mike Myers is about to turn and say you can't say that, but then he looked and he was like, probably could.
You know what?
I probably can't say that.
Better leave it.
It's so good. Then Chris Tucker was just like, oh no.
But yeah, anyway.
Oh no.
So just like I have no connector. They're bad.
So just like George Bush hates black people, we hate Andrew Garfield.
I think he's like terrible. But it works. I don't
Listen,
get it.
it's 'cause
It
Martin
pisses me off.
Martin Scorsese works, and that's why it works.
When
kind
he's just standing there and saying the lines, it's great. But when he tries to act, It doesn't
No,
do that.
because when he's like, no, we must go find Father Ferreira. We must find him now. And when we do...
His scenes when he's losing his
baby.
mind are the funniest things I've ever seen.
When the person gets decapitated with a katana.
No,
and
I'm talking about when he's like,
No, apostatize! Apostatize!
His first reaction is to go up against the wall, and he goes like twice, just two like open arm, like palm, like pushes.
He's not
I'm
great.
just like, what's your? I know they didn't tell you to do
horrible.
that.
Not
I know
great.
they didn't tell you to do that.
and so, Driver's bad too. I remember defending him at the time. Wrong.
Yeah, I
He's
don't
bad. It's just the one scene.
You know, other than that one spot, there was another one moment that the editing was bad. But everything else, pretty well edited.
What's the one spot?
It was like a weird fade.
It was the same thing as the goddamn Wolf of Wall Street one.
I
where
must
it's
have
just
missed.
like, why?
Yeah. Well, why is there a fade in there? Was there flowers in this movie?
Well, there was a lot of nature.
Yes.
I don't know if there was
The
ever like
flowers?
a close up of flowers.
I didn't notice any
I
particularly.
didn't notice it. I didn't
Didn't come up.
everyone.
Didn't come up
Interesting.
in Wolf of Wall
It
Street
had
either.
to have.
Maybe. But we didn't point it out. Well, Irishman it does.
Yeah, more than few.
Well,
More than few times. Well, when we look at
Thelma, good job.
when we look at
As always. A+.
Hey, plug your laptop in. Don't want it today.
it's okay right now. I'll grab it in a second. When we look at all of Sesse's films, there's been a few times we've mentioned not too great protagonists, not too great performances as protagonists.
Yes.
Is Andrew Garfield the worst?
He's up there.
We've the ones I know we've brought up. Leo for sure in Shutter Island. Leo and Gangs. Who else? I don't
Asa Butterfield, Hugo.
yeah, he's not the best.
It's like I know he's a
It
kid.
was Chloe Grace Moretz.
Well, he's bad too. We talked about it. The
I
scene
don't
where he
know,
has to get
man.
emotional and he like slams down on the chair. Like,
It's hard. And they're children.
yeah, I don't. But
Yeah,
so what?
so
Fuck
do
off. Fuck
it just
off.
feels so harsh. It's like Chloe Grace Moretz was 12. Why are you yelling at her?
Get better.
She does. Have you seen Kick-Ass? I love those.
Are you in?
movies.
Are you in a Martin Scorsese movie or are you not? Fucking figure it
Kick-Ass
out.
was the year before Hugo.
Then what's your problem?
Exactly. Fucking
She's bad in that.
buck
movie.
up, Chloe.
Nick Cage and Bringing Out the Dead. Also not great.
Jimmy Doyle in New York for for romantically. I know it's up for debate as a whole.
I mean,
but
I'm the
just like-
only one that defends it.
I just think
there's
that
three
it
of
could've-
us.
I, I think he could have had more charisma. That's all.
I know. Yeah, you know.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Coulda
I'll
dealt-
say
he could have
Harvey.
done with some more.
I'll say Harvey Keitel in anything.
Well, I suppose
What,
we're
being
being
recast?
objective.
You-
No,
well,
worst
his-
performance or like who's that knocking at my door?
Well, sure.
who's
but
that
Mean
knocking-
Streets? What's the problem?
He's-
Alice doesn't live here anymore? Taxi driver?
I remember
I
when we
said
first
as a-
watched
as
Mean
a
Streets, he
lead.
was like, he's okay in Mean Streets. He's
As a
not amazing.
lead.
He's not
Yeah,
blowing me away.
but
But
I
then
don't
we
need
got
to
to Alice
recast
Doesn't
him.
Live Here Anymore, and you were blown away.
He's great,
So
but he's
as
not
a
a
lead.
lead. But as the lead,
He's
when
great.
he-
And he's good enough in Mean Streets.
Just wait till you see Bad
I
Lieutenant.
guess.
He's better than
don't
fucking
wanna-
Garfield.
I would hate to judge him too harshly. It's very early in his career. You're correct, but
What the fuck is going on?
Stop it! I remember watching it and being like, "Meh."
Okay, so
I got all my focus on Johnny Boy.
I mean-
he's the only man I care about.
what? I feel like there was another one. Oh, we did talk about DDL and Agent
Oh, you know, I
Innocence.
was about to say
Yeah.
I don't care for him very much.
But I
Yeah.
didn't care for like.
But I wouldn't say it's
anybody
the
except for
worst.
Madame Olenska.
Okay, good. I was like, Michelle Pfeiffer, Queen. I was about to be so upset.
Hey,
She's
I remember
so
her
good in that
name.
movie.
What about the old lady who couldn't
Oh,
walk?
yeah, she's good too.
Oh yes. The one who got carried everywhere with her cats.
So is Garfield the
Dogs.
worst offender?
Yeah, I think he might be
worst.
worst.
I don't know, man.
What's
Leo,
worse?
I would
In a
say
way,
Leo and Gangs
I
in
think-
New York
I think
because it
it's the-
doesn't work. Almost everything else in that movie is what you. begin
Yeah, but
to
I
like.
think
It's not Leo and his character progression. I
You're
might have
right.
argued differently,
But his actual performance
It's
is
not good. What is-
that bad.
it doesn't
No,
bother
it's
me
not
as much
good.
as it bothers me in this. I think the more egregious thing is that if there were a better
Okay.
performance in the movie, it makes the movie a better movie.
okay. So
I
you're
think
saying
Gangs is a mess no matter
any
what.
good performance.
Yeah, like
It
I think
would-
even if Leo gave an amazing performance in Gangs of New York, the movie is still fucking edited like fucking a Limp Bizkit
Where
music video.
if we had Gael Garcia Bernal fucking knocking it out the park in Silence, it might be like from where it's at to a higher echelon. Like if we had a performance that we were blown away by as Rodriguez, we all probably would at least bump it half a star.
Okay.
You know,
I said that. I said after coming out of it this time, like if his performance was better, it would be a whole star better.
What about Shutter Island?
that's a bad movie
Bad
with
movie.
a bad performance.
Even if you put a better guy in that role, the movie's
so
weird.
you're saying like a good movie with a bad performance?
Not necessarily, because I think Leo.
I'm
and
just saying
Shutter-
it makes it more egregious.
I think Leo and Shutter Island is actually more in the conversation than him in Gangs. I think Teddy Daniels is a worse performance than whatever the fuck his name was in Gangs.
I agree.
And same thing, like DDL and Nick Cage feel just more like miscasts, but they're not like terrible. So I think the two worst are Leo and Shutter and Garfield.
Well,
and Silence.
and I think it's because they both squander potential of the movie. I do think it's possible Shutter Island could have garnered a
little
better
better.
experience out of a better
a
performer.
little better. Maybe would have been able to sell it more.
Mm-hmm. Maybe made you not understand the twist 2 minutes in.
It just feels like Leo's trying so hard in that movie, and Garfield too. He feels like he's trying real hard. They feel like tryhards. Nobody likes to try hard.
Nobody likes to try hard. And I will say that they both seem like they're hamming it up.
So is that the
Garfield-
official?
Garfield studied like priests and shit for like a year. He was like, I commit myself to Ceci and his vision.
That's nutty.
And it's like, then how did it still go so wrong?
Well, it's kind of like
Ceci
Tom
probably
Cruise.
loved it.
Tom Cruise can't do accents, shit like that. We still praise Tom Cruise as being a good actor. Like Garfield's got plenty of great performances. Social Network, he's the standout, kinda.
I disagree.
Really?
I used to say it. Last time I watched it, I was like, he's a little weak. It's a
Interesting.
little weak. Eisenberg is
I mean, the
fucking-
Winklevi are also pretty fun.
Eisenberg is out of this world. On the rewatch, the last time I watched it, I was like, holy fuck, I did not appreciate
Well,
this.
did
Maybe
Andrew
because I know
Garfield?
more
I'm pretty sure
Mark
Andrew
Zuckerberg.
Garfield auditioned for
Uh-huh.
Mark Zuckerberg, and then they got to Garfield, and they're like, or no, they got to Eisenberg, and they were like, fuck, nope,
Yeah.
switching that around.
They were like, we like you too much. Like,
Yeah.
Garfield is too naturally likable.
Yeah, even though I'd say in Under the Silver Lake, he proves the antithesis of that.
He can do slimy. He literally made me like that movie less because of how much I
How
fucking
good he
hate-
was.
how
Yeah,
much I
he's
fuck-
amazing. I think that
Like,
might be his best
It's-
I
performance.
his
lit
best.
it so
Yeah.
far for sure.
I used to say
Haven't
the
seen
Social
Hacksaw
Network.
Ridge,
He
but
did, he bummed me out a little bit.
Yeah.
in what?
Interesting.
On Social Network.
Oh,
Because I used
Mark-
to think he
no,
was the best part.
I've only
Mark!
seen. I've only seen two clips.
you for 15%. I'm coming for all of it.
Your lawyer up, asshole.
I
Yeah.
have two. I've only
And,
seen.
okay, when he fake tries to punch,
He's
Justin
like-
Timberlake,
okay, he's
10
like-
out of 10.
It's like, what does he say? He's like,
Justin Timberlake.
Have
Stan-
you not
he's-
seen
he's
the
like-
Social Network?
he has it.
I keep trying to say I've seen two bits. One like the first like 5 minutes.
Let's
when,
watch it.
when he's at the bar and he's
let's pop
talking,
it on.
and then he makes the app to judge women.
Yes.
And then the second bit I've seen is when what's his name? Andrew Garfield, who's supposed to be Hispanic, comes in all angry and yelling at him, and I really like that scene.
That's what we were just doing.
And I thought that Andrew Garfield did great.
Once
But he's
again,
not
Andrew
Hispanic.
Garfield playing a Hispanic man. He must have a thing.
Yeah, that's right. But also, wait a minute. What's the bit where? Well, it is the Sean Parker thing at the end where he throws the punch and then he's like, says something about. He says something prior to this, but then he says like, "That makes me feel so tough. It's fun standing next to you, Sean. Makes me feel so tough."
It's crazy.
Oh my god! And when
Does
they're
he
at
just,
dinner,
like,
he's
lose his
15 minutes
mind?
late.
In real life, does the guy that Jesse screwed over? I mean, not Jesse. Mark screwed over. Does he get his? Does he get anything?
It's a whole fucking thing. Don't. We're not getting into this.
We'll watch the movie
okay.
one day.
I mean, not one day. Pretty soon. Here.
Let's hopefully do that. Yeah, Mank.
Mank.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, Garfield bad.
Garfield bad.
Fucking.
Probably worst one.
All right, worst one.
Is there anything anyone else has to say about Silence?
You guys get it because silence.
It's just you putting me on the spot. I feel like I did have something.
I'm curious, I guess, because I feel like the one thing we don't talk about much anymore, simply because it seems so blanketly covered. It's not a word, but Scorsese
Mm.
and just how he did.
I mean, that I feel
How's
like
he
that's
doing?
every time I bring up the new chapter. That's me trying to say I love what he's doing as a director. Like I love his control, his tone, the maturity you just feel pumping through the veins. Like Wolf was the last outing of batshit. Like Gangs to Wolf is like, I'm going crazy. That's like midlife crisis sassy.
Mhm.
And now we're in the home stretch, and I love it. I'm here for it. I think he's about to just knock it out the park. They say
Well, he is actually
You're right.
about to.
You're right. He does. He makes the ultimate movie. He'll never. If he tops him, what if Killer of the Flower Moon is better than the Irishman?
Then I think we have the best movie ever made, folks.
I mean,
If anybody was gonna do it,
Martin Scorsese.
anybody was gonna make a movie in 2020s as the best movie of all time, it's probably Martin Scorsese.
Well, I was gonna say it's like Fanny and Alexander is like
aren't
always the
artists-
testament to me of like the people like him, like the Bergmans of this world, the Scorseses of this world. The last thing they gotta say, probably pretty fucking powerful, especially if they know it is.
Who's the famous person? Is it Kurosawa? And somebody else who was like, when I turned 80, it was like, I find now I'm actually making movies.
Yes, it was Kurosawa talking to Bergman.
They were like, yep, now that we're old, like we're making,
Yeah.
I'm making my movies. It's like everything up to this point's just been me learning. I get chills
Mhm.
thinking about that. And I feel like that's where Scorsese is.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like he doesn't even have to think about it.
The Irishman feels as profound as like a Fanny and Alexander, or there's plenty of other examples. Can't think of them all right now.
I found this, I was surprised to find that Silence was this affecting.
I think going through Scorsese's canon this year, that helped. Being
it's
as
just-
acquainted with him on a personal level.
Yeah, I feel like this would literally be a top 10 Scorsese if we just had better performances. Like they're what's holding it back. Because like script Scorsese, like it's mostly on fire. Could have trimmed it down for sure. But again, maybe if I was more invested in Garfield, because it's when he's by
If it's
himself.
Gael Garcia Bernal, Benicio del Toro, and Daniel Day-Lewis, it's maybe his best movie outside of The Irishman.
it definitely would be something phenomenal. Except I don't know the first guy.
Yes,
I
it
could
is.
only imagine. Y tu mamá también.
He hasn't seen.
Oh, I thought you have.
But I
He's
know
he's
it.
been in stuff you've seen, surely.
Gael. Look. Whoo! He's so.
And they're
been
older.
hot
It
his
would have
whole
sold
life.
it. It would have sold it, man. God damn it.
He's
What
never-
could have been?
He's never not been hot.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh my god.
Imagine if it was the
And
two of them,
Two of them.
Why didn't it happen?
as in Y tu mamá también's cast.
Why didn't it happen?
I don't know.
Diego Luna.
Who cares? I'm crying now. Can you imagine if it was the two of them?
And they never saw each other again.
It's been a while since
Good movie.
I'm literally crying. Oh, I love that movie so much.
Great movie.
I love that movie so much.
Where's that on your list? It's pretty high.
It's like 30 or something.
Damn.
Always. There was a point where that was number 2. Place
It's a
Beyond
great
the
movie.
Pines was 1, and that was 2. And I was like, I was 2 movies I wish I made. That says a lot about me, I think.
Okay, so are we getting blunt about Silence?
Yeah, I think
Babies.
so.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say.
So how do we feel, Frank?
Who's Frank?
I'm Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon.
And Frankie think 4 out of 5 is where I landed on this film, pretty concretely. And you know, at the time we started having the Canon discussion, I still don't know how I feel. I don't know if I want to vote it in or not. I don't know. I think it's great,
I do. I'm
but
pretty sure.
but I've already I haven't been thinking about it, and we watched it 2 days ago. I knew I was going to come back, and I feel like I would have had more to say. It feels like it's like a tranquil experience while I'm watching it, but it actually doesn't leave me. Well, I feel like I did a lot of thinking while watching. I think I did, but it doesn't leave me with more to ponder.
No, because every time you've thought about this movie since, you've thought about it and adapted more upon those thoughts.
But
I've
that's
come to
been
new
just
conclusions
here.
in this conversation.
Yeah,
It's if we're
okay.
talking about it. But
Okay,
I do see
both
what
of
you're
you
saying
get-
because this is a movie that I'm not going to be turning on
Sorry.
like all the time. Like I'm not going, you know what, I'm watching tonight.
Yeah, I'm not.
Silence.
quite literally.
Who's coming over for Silence tonight?
Maybe-
I feel like I have a better shot of getting Frank to watch Salo than I do getting him to watch Silence,
That's
probably.
correct.
Probably have a hard time with both.
Probably
also
still going to be a hard time no matter what.
That's also
but I might
correct.
be able to pull your arm a little easier with Pasolini.
That's correct. I don't. Both of you go first, and I'm gonna keep thinking. 'Cause
I think-
I don't
think-
know how I want to vote.
I think it's a great movie. I've always thought it's a great movie. This is only my second time seeing it. The first time was in a theater, and I remember being pretty taken with it back then too. I liked it even more back then, actually. And I was a much bigger Adam Driver freak, like publicly, than I am now. I've subdued it, but it's only because I want to work with you, Adam, please, one day.
You will.
I hope so. But the idea for me is that this is his ultimate culmination of his religious work up to this point, and we can't know if Scorsese is going to make another film in that region. And I think if we're talking about the canon being what is important to Scorsese and what means if it's a lesson in Sessi, and we didn't inaugurate The Last Temptation of Christ, nor did we inaugurate Kundun, those are his, and Bringing Out the Dead for that matter, we don't have anything that directly tackles the religious theme at all. And while the fact remains that Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver aren't the greatest, most level performances in any of Scorsese's films, the film, even despite that, carries a resonant weight that we still take away at the end of the day.
Something weirdly feels forgettable about it. Even though I know I've been praising it mostly this whole pod, like I don't think this is one I'm going to be thinking about from now.
Weirdly enough, though, you say forgettable, and then this wasn't a movie I was expecting both you and I even to be like, oh fuck, this part. Oh dude, this part. Oh fuck. I think we compartmentalize a little bit when it comes to scenes like that because they are so miserable. Like the fucking scene at the beach with the curtains that they literally put up to be like, we got someone coming for you, ha 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 ha, and it's the most maniacal, evil, despicable shit like maybe I've ever seen in a Scorsese movie. Like it's insanely upsetting, and now having rewatched it, that scene is probably never going to leave my brain. Like it's just so disturbing. And there's plenty of other scenes like that in the movie. He goes on full on beheads somebody and shows it. It's pretty wild. It's maybe his most violent movie since Casino.
Those three guys on the cross who the waves.
That one is horrible too.
Imagine being so confident in something you believe that you're willing to die for it. I think that's the most beautiful thing.
I think this movie exudes a lot of what Scorsese does best, but in a completely different way than he does in any of his other movies. I think it shows a different level of Scorsese's power, a different realm of his style. It works in with all the things that he's been trying to do throughout all of his movies, but it's more direct in the certain religious element that he's tackling. This is a passion project of his too. There's been plenty of passion projects we haven't inaugurated, but this is one that I think is worthy. Whether or not everyone agrees, that's fine. I think the King of Comedy should be in the fucking canon, but that's an opinion I'll have to live with. Now I can hold it in. I'll hold the King of Comedy in my hands, and the camera will zoom in when I die, and it'll go between my hands, and I'll have a little King of Comedy Blu-ray. I've always held on to it. The faith has remained personal.
A tiny little pumpkin.
What do you rate it? You didn't say.
4 out of 5. It's definitely the stronger end of the 4 out of 5. But like I said, I think if it were a better performance, that would definitely at least bump it up to the 4.5, if not the 5er. But it's a strong movie. And like I said, I think the performances really are the thing that hold it back from being the most memorable experience in the world. Because I think when we talk about movies, performances are the things that we're looking at first. So when you're thinking about a movie, you're thinking about the performances. Mm-hmm. And we don't like to think about the performances in this case.
Brandon?
I hate God. Bad movie. You're there. Just kidding. It's hard with these religion movies because, religion having the spot, holding the place that it does in my life. I feel like there's already just like, this movie already has to fight an uphill battle, in order to hold me. Where it's like, yeah, I don't really care about your feelings and your attachments towards God. With Rodriguez specifically, I agree with you, Frank, when you say like, with the Japanese people, like the ones that are the Christians, you understand, why they have the faith that they do and why it's necessary, and you see the beauty in that. And I totally, like, I'm right there with you, where it's like I see what faith is helping, but for our protagonist, the man that we're following, his faith only spews toxicity to me. And overall, that does end up helping the movie, and that ends up, making it better. But as you guys know, watching somebody I don't like is hard, and I literally didn't care for Rodriguez in almost like any sense. But still, I found myself being at least attached to the story of this movie and wanting to see.
Well, what about the people too that Rodriguez is surrounded with? It's like, I understand not caring about him, but it's like the idea that he also is trying to, in theory, care about these people. Like, I think that's got to help.
I care
in some
about
sense.
Rodriguez's plight.
Yes.
I care about how he is, you know, this perpetuated suffering of like I have to do my duty. I want to find Ferreira, but also like I can't look at these people suffer and not do anything. That is great. I love that, and it is just
In theory, Garupe is a worse character.
It is born out of the desire to help. And Garupe, I mean,
He's the one who's like, you can't apostatize. If you do that, then you're fucked. You're not a Christian, and that's worse, at the very least.
But to Garupe and probably anybody back at home that would talk to Garupe, he's correct. So
Yes,
you know,
I understand that.
Who's to say?
But if
You
we're
know,
talking about humanity here,
if we're talking about humanity, that's still subjective or whatever. But
Yes.
you know, this movie sort of overcame my own prejudices and allowed me to listen to what it was saying, and I do think that there's something to that. And I
to
think
listen to the silence.
It did more than the previous attempts did. It did more than, I mean, Bringing Out the Dead came incredibly close, but like Last Temptation didn't really do anything for me, and I think that's because of how literal it was. But to me, this sort of adaptation on The Last Temptation is what really is speaking to me. I have it sitting at a 4. I think that that's probably the highest that it could go, just because of the context in which it is, and I think that I can solidly say that like I wouldn't watch this movie again. Like I have what I got like out of it, and I appreciate it for everything that it is, but I don't want to like.
You don't even
watch
think,
it.
as a Scorsese stan, down the line someday you couldn't see yourself revisiting?
I mean, like if I like, you wouldn't see me choosing it. How about that? I would not refuse to watch this movie again, but like, fucking. I guess there's like a very small list of movies I'd refuse to watch.
I don't know. I guess never say never,
I'm not-
only because there are reviews I've literally read where I'm like, I will never watch this again while watching it again.
You know, so
Right.
it's at least as of right now, I have no desire to see the movie again. But I'm glad that I did watch it. So it's sitting at a 4, and I think that one of Ceci's, you know, it's weird because it's like, on one hand, one of Ceci's religious movies, like, doesn't it belong in the canon? But on the other hand, shouldn't there be other reasons to add something into the canon? So I don't think that just because one of his religious movies should be in the canon is a reason for it to be in the canon. But I do think that this is a very clear presentation of a piece of Ceci's soul, as we've sort of been trying to say, at least for the last like 20 minutes or so, in terms of like this next chapter of his career, in terms of what this and The Irishman mean to him. And I know that it's still up in the air whether we're gonna let The Irishman in, but like,
We'll see.
shut the fuck up. You know
Okay.
what I mean? I think that silence belongs there because it's in Ceci's canon. And I mean, like, it's a movie that speaks to him, like every movie does, but like,
No, this one more than a most.
even looking at, you know, the results, it's like, this is definitely a movie for you, buddy. And if this is our chronic canon and where Ceci stands,
He got to
I'm-
premiere this at the Vatican for like 400 priests.
Good for him. That's probably the moment he was like, I did it.
He brought his whole family.
received his first stab wound.
My thoughts while you were both going, I was trying to think about it more. Because I thought I would know by the time we got blunt, and I didn't, and I was still in conflict. I think about, weirdly, for how much I don't actually like it, I think about Last Temptation fairly often. Like, more than movies that I love. Like, I've probably thought about Last Temptation more than Aviator, truthfully. Like, it's one that I keep going back to in my mind. But I know, I know if I started watching again, I'd be like, right, this does still kind of suck. It's just like, in theory, I think it's like such a brilliant movie. But like, actually watching it was such a chore. But like, and in my head, I'm like, that should have been in the canon. And I even remember kind of saying that, like, it's like, yeah, none of us liked it, but I was like, that one that felt important. And we've already litigated way too many fucking times over and over about goddamn King Comedy. And now in my head, I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't make the mistake a third time. And I feel like one day, if we didn't, this is our last chance to include it almost. So like, it's like a pity. Yes, but I think
It's almost
still
like
a
the
yes.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
In a way, it's like you did fine. Ceci. I acknowledge you. I see you. And this is a great movie that I like more than the other 4 we said are in the quartet. This is my favorite of the quartet.
Same.
This is your Aviator Best Picture Oscar.
We all think the same about it. It
Departed.
sounds like.
Departed, but I thought it won for Aviator.
No,
he
he
should
won
have.
for Depart.
Right.
Right. We were like, this is Departed was a makeup for Aviator, clearly.
Clearly. So this is yours now. You're now
I think this is my makeup. Voting yes. And I'm like, I started to think about it. I'm like, I bet you in 40 years this movie's gonna hit even harder when I'm standing on death's door going like, let me watch Ceci and then watch Silence. It's probably gonna make me bawl like a baby. Maybe.
It resonated more this time in a weird way, even though I didn't like the movie more, quote, but I was definitely more generous with my ratings when I originally saw this movie. It resonated on a more thoughtful level this time, I think. Like, I definitely put more of myself into the experience than I did the first time.
So we're saying yes?
I'm with it.
Silence. Shocker. Who would have fucking guessed?
We weren't excited
And
for it, but I was
the
surprised by
can-
the time that we even finished it last night that all of us had stayed awake through the whole thing. Stayed pretty attentive. No one was drifting. We did laugh a few times.
I drifted at one point.
I drift.
When he was in the camp. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, it's like I started to be like, long movie.
I definitely got bored.
Oh no, I was with it. I was just like, I want to see how it wraps up. I want to see where it all
I
goes.
definitely. I mean, I was curious. We'll say that much.
But I'll tell you this: it's nothing by comparison to where we're going.
Nothing is. That's the thing.
Nothing.
We've
is.
been building and building and building. The whole point of this podcast was so that we could talk about The Irishman.
Yeah.
And convince everyone it's the best.
Hey,
Because I was gonna say, like, it's no spoiler, because I think if anything, now's the time probably just to give a brief little intro to The Irishman for those listening
Yeah.
who haven't seen it. Because if you listen to that podcast that comes out about The Irishman next, and you haven't seen it,
You're fucked.
I'm disappointed in you. You can listen to it, that's fine, but I'm a little concerned.
I'm more than a little.
I'm actually
concerned.
more than a little concerned.
When someone says that, it means they're very concerned.
And no, it means I'm upset. I'm very upset.
I'm upset.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing that brought us all here. That's the reason that we're all together today. And I think that it's not going to change like its position in my mind. I think if anything, it's only going to be intensified. And I feel like that's an objective thing. Like, if Taxi Driver ends up over The Irishman, am I right? It won't. There's just absolutely no way.
There's no
It is
way.
every movie we've watched has somehow or another been compared to The Irishman throughout this whole progressional Ceci session series.
Boys, just picture the opening.
I do every day.
It's the best.
Every
There's
day.
no way it's not the fucking best.
I even remember when I showed that movie to Brandon last year, not knowing how he'd handle it. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised that it not only worked well, but as well as a movie probably could work.
Literally saw
I
it
can't- it's-
again in theaters like a couple days later. Was it a week later?
You saw it twice?
We saw it twice.
I saw it one. I've seen it twice in
You
theaters.
s-
I didn't see it 2 times in theaters with you.
I thought we went.
I think you've only seen The Irishman one time.
I thought I saw it twice. I thought I've seen it twice in theaters.
Unless you went with someone else. Wasn't me.
I thought we went to the main art
I did go to the main art with you,
with Tyler.
with Tyler. Shout out Tyler.
Shout out Tyler.
Yes. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you've only seen it the one time. So I think that, and you know, we did kind of find a way in a beautiful poetic sense that we can rewatch the movie on the year anniversary that Frank and I saw it the first time. So this is a very special moment that we're heading towards.
It's like it's really starting to set in. We did it.
We actually
Remember
did it.
when it felt like
we were
it was
never
never gonna
Yeah.
fucking happen?
Yeah.
We're done. We did Silence.
Yep.
All that's left is the
The Irishman. That's the next
Silence.
one.
I
There's
don't know. It's
no-
hitting me real
And
hard.
there's no reason
actually.
not to watch it.
It's crazy.
There's gonna be some added emotion on top of there because of the journey we've had with each other.
Yeah. So
We're 100%. Can we say it that we're going to watch it and immediately go record?
yeah, that is the structure.
We are
I
gonna
think
do
that's
that.
the way to do it.
First,
Give you the
we are
emotional
part
hot
one.
take.
That's
Yeah.
not how we usually do it.
Yeah, so
But for
we've-
The Irishman, since we've
done it a
been
few
watching it
times.
every day
We've done it a few
secretly, We'll do it this time.
No, I've forced Jesse to not. He's tried to watch it 100 times.
Oh, so many.
I said, no, save it. Save
He
it.
uses it as a form of torture. He'll start it and then he'll go, no.
It's in my top
can't.
10 of all time. It's an amazing movie.
It's got the potential. It's in my 20.
Now-
It's got the potential to move to that 10.
I do think it's fine to mention, to spoil, if it were, the way we're going to handle The Irishman on this podcast, given that it's an event. It's an event. We've reached it. We're going to split her up into 2 episodes.
We really got to figure out how to do the second one.
The second one's going to be a bit of a free-for-all. But
it's probably going to be,
the first one's
thought
actually
is
going to be a
that
bit of
it's
a free-for-all.
shorter because we're throwing out the traditional canon stuff and we're just sort of making it this hodgepodge of like, hey, we care about you. We care about The Irishman. Tell us what you think about The Irishman. Come
Yes.
on.
But
And it's going to be sort of like an extravaganza. Like a little people party.
yes, in the first episode will just be our raw hot take on The Irishman
Full of tears.
a year later.
I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to feel that much. I've been crying to almost every movie I've been watching lately. How is that gonna fucking
It's going to get you. Especially
did.
when you look at us in the eyes.
the first time? It was the moment Jesse went, "Are you okay?" I lost it because
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm not actually." Now that I'm thinking about it,
I don't know if
I am sobbing.
I don't know if I said it out loud, but I was screaming cut to black in my head.
Yeah.
But I might have been saying it out loud because I was screaming it so loud in my head. I can't remember.
I was thinking the same goddamn thing.
It's like, do it, fucking do it now, and it did it. It's too good. It's too good.
I can't hear "In the Still of the Night" without just immediately getting emotional.
Yeah.
Bless you.
De Niro.
I said Scorsese. It's fine.
Joe Pesci.
Jesus. I
They're
don't know,
back.
you guys. What are we even talking
Bobby's
about?
back. Joe's back. Tomorrow.
And-
Pacino. We're finally going to see a Pacino. Guys, this is it.
What does this mean? How do
What
we
do you
get
mean?
here? How do we get here?
We watched a movie every week and then we stopped.
Well,
and then
well,
we started and then we stopped. And then we started.
stopped.
And then we kept it going. And now we're at the end
we
of
started this
October,
podcast
the
before the
beginning-
quarantine.
the beginning of November, and we completed one of the greatest directors of all time. Theoretically, unless one of us dies before Monday.
It's an achievement for us.
I feel accomplished. There's now 2 directors I can say I've seen every movie they've made.
We watched Who's That Knocking at My Door on January 6th, 2020.
Insane.
We are going to watch The Irishman on November 2nd, 2020. It was almost 11 months of Ceci.
Wow.
Straight.
That was like me with Bergman last year. The Bergman box. Even more
It's
movies.
been a journey, folks.
It's been a journey.
How do we feel?
I feel good.
I mean, should we be talking about how we feel now?
Well, I mean, like going into this rewatch, it's a big thing. Like, I don't know. It feels like I'm prepping for the big game. Like, feels like that's why we're all here.
Can be whack.
Silence was the pregame. It truly was. I feel like it is the perfect setup.
Yeah. And I think that it gave the right amount of like cold to make the experience of The Irishman hit that much harder when you see the second shot in the movie.
I mean, just old De Niro's kind of fucking.
It's like old De Niro
And
too.
it's been a long time since we've seen him too. It's gonna be weird.
Thinking about that scene at the end when the FBI's talking to him, and he's like, "Look, fellas."
It's been 24 years since we've been with the De Niro.
I know. That's insane. Thinking about Casino being the last time.
Ace
Rothstein.
Oh wait, that's fucking done.
You were literally about to say Ace Visconti. That's great.
Dead by Daylight. Shout
Fuck
out.
Casino, you know.
On the
Ace
Silence
Rothstein.
podcast.
I don't know how to think anymore because now the reality's set in. We talked about Silence. We're blunt. It's done. Now fucking what? Congrats.
Irishman.
That's the Irishman. That is the Irishman. He did his job. Now fucking what?
Yeah.
You just gotta sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to where it all started. That's what you do. And that's what The Irishman is.
Fuck, man.
Go back to where it all started. Shadooby-dooby-doo. Shadooby-dooby-doo.
It's too much. It's literally too much. How are we gonna do it? Are we just gonna cry through the whole movie?
It might be a very therapeutic
I'm gonna
experience.
hold you both so close to my bosom, and we're just gonna.
We might have to
absorb.
hold the mics handheld and just walk around.
We're just gonna absorb.
Pace.
So the thing about this movie is everything.
Are we insane for
Yeah.
getting this emotional about The Irishman?
Oh, for sure.
Hold on, you
No,
guys,
no, no, no,
because to
no.
us it's the most normal thing. We're talking about like, there are people who are
Frank
like,
is
that
actually like
sucks.
having to stop himself from
Yeah.
crying right now.
Yeah, I'm holding it in. Their tears are ready. They're locked and loaded, and I'm like, don't do it. It's fine. The thing is, it's just like there are people who are like, that was boring and dumb.
The
there
last
are people
45
who are
minutes
like,
suck.
who are like, De Niro's a psychopath. How does anybody care about this? Why do I care? I read these things. I'm like, what do you mean? It's just like, I know, but like, how do you not feel that?
Yeah. Because everyone's different.
And this is probably people's first.
And this is the faith we carry, damn
This
it.
is the first rodeo at dealing with the sociopath, and we've had some experience for quite a few films.
Do you remember? Do you remember at Raging Bull? We were like, how are we going to do this? We were like, we're 8 in and we're tired of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And we just finished number 24.
And now we're on to The Irishman.
I love you guys.
I love you too.
I love you.
I love
both.
you guys.
Don't make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just
make
saying
fun
that
of
I'm doing the general. I love you guys.
I do.
'Cause I mean it.
I do love you guys.
I love you guys so much.
If somebody's listening right now, that's awesome. Thanks.
Hey.
Thank you. We love you.
We love you. You know what? I'm gonna extend some of that good energy your way. Thanks for listening. We don't do it for you, but you certainly help.
Yeah.
You help a lot. Thank you for being here with us this whole time. If you've been here, and if you're a first-time listener, which silence, weird episode.
So weird.
But hey,
Sorry it was chaotic a lot.
quite chaotic. And if you didn't like it, probably
it's
don't listen to the
always
rest of
chaotic.
this.
Listen,
Yeah.
there's not a single episode you're gonna listen to and go like, the boys are relaxed.
You guys got to let us
Uh,
know if we got to do something different. If somebody's listening, they're just like, this is incomprehensible nonsense. You saw it most of the time, you guys. Like,
Mhm.
Please let us know. Like, we'll change.
Yeah.
We'll change.
We'll
Maybe.
adapt.
Nobody said anything, so
Yeah.
we're just going to keep
Yet.
being who we
Yeah.
are.
Well, The
Which-
Irishman is going to be the most exemplary
Well, we'll
of
see.
that fact.
we haven't even watched it, and I'm having a hard time keeping it together.
Just think about the opening shot. Do, 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 do.
Are we gonna do the recently watched? Or are we
No,
gonna
why?
cut? Are we
No.
done?
Oh,
But we-
fuck
Alright,
the
then
recently
we're-
watched.
then
We good.
then
It's
we're
like
done.
too many,
We can
too
wax-
many, too many random movies.
Ladies
you
and
know?
gentlemen, I'm just
we
going to
can-
say if you've been with us this long, if you've watched all the Scorsese movies all the way through, thank you. We hope you've enjoyed them too. The Irishman's next. Hope you like it as much as we do, because if you don't, well, that's rough for you. I feel bad for you. That's
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
shitty life. If you don't like this movie that much, what the hell? That sucks. I'm sorry. That's rough. Imagine not liking The Irishman that much. It's a bad life to live.
Life you chose. We're gonna leave the
You're not-
we'll leave the pod halfway open for
You're
you.
not thinking enough.
No.
That's all I'm gonna say.
And
You're
on
not
that note,
exercising your empathy. You're not realizing what your life really is.
You're not watching movies
It's just a series of bad decisions
potentially.
until you're dead.
Yes.
Woo!
And that is the Chronic Canon, everybody.
I'm
Ooh,
Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon. Signing out.
Bye bye.
And bye-bye. And
Goodbye.
bye-bye. Way to future.
Wait.